It says we are live, and I'm sure the people will come rolling in here in a second on this beautiful Friday morning. What are we? August 7th today. We're a couple days away from the Wisconsin primary. There they are. There's Kathy. A few more will come rolling in. Amy, Deborah, two people named Deborah in a row. Randy, Ruth. Good to see you all. And thank you so much for being here. John, interesting AF. I like when people are creative with their handles. That's funny. Hope you guys are doing well. You made it to another Friday. I hope you got nice weekend plans. I hope everybody has adopted the tactic of when you wake up in the morning, you don't just get straight to work. Instead, you go for a little walk, make yourself a cup of coffee, give yourself an hour to wake up. Please do that. Now, having said that, I violated my own rule, but I had an article I wanted to finish up and get out. I was a little late getting out my article this morning. We can't do it all the time, but this week I've been doing a good job. And yesterday too, I was on my phone a little bit. For the most part, I've been giving up my screens, and I'm telling you, you start feeling so much better. You got to get away from that scrolling, which is just this capture. It captures your time. My daughter teased me about that yesterday too, because I was scrolling through something, and she's like, "There you are," because she hears a lot of these talks. Well, I'll be saying, it's bad for you to scroll, and it's like, "Daddy, bad for you to scroll," and I mean, so it's good that she holds me accountable too. But I tell you, this is a fun week. This is the first week back. It's hard to believe. It's been a week that we've been back already. I feel renewed. Had some wonderful, wonderful live conversations. Yesterday I was basically on doing these talks all day long. A lot of it is just because I missed all you wonderful people and all the wonderful creators that I know. In the morning, I talked with Chris Resist and Mel. I was kind of hoping that the two of them would show up. Maybe they just haven't seen me yet. They like tapping into these talks in the morning when they see me. And we've just been making this the theme. Joyful resistance, positivity, and hope. I think it's been just too long, we've had this horrible, horrific Republican imposed torture by the U.S. government for 2 years, right? It's been terrible. They've been dismantling everything. They've been funding the secret police. They've been abducting children. They've been shooting people in the street. I mean, it's been awful what they've done. But we have to remember that we have to survive this, and we survive this by not being miserable all the time. There are hardships in life, and even in a funeral, if you can go to the funeral and you can remember the person that you've lost and tell some jokes and remember the good times and have a positive memory of that person, you feel better. Gives you the fortitude to carry on. And I think sometimes we're inclined to think we're being disrespectful. Hi, misuse. We're inclined to think we're being disrespectful by not holding every moment in seriousness. But, when somebody's talking about me, I prefer that they would be talking about me, and the memory of me would provoke laughter and joy within them. Even if it's, discussing me after I've passed. I give you permission. Speak about me with joy. I would prefer that so much better. Yeah, Tony, thanking you and others that speak for me. And I'm so glad you're here. We're all speaking to each other together. Buenos dias, Walter fans. Thank you, Trajectory. Misuse. I always laugh at funerals because that's how I want to be remembered. That's so kind. And I mean, hug people, or I request it first. I come close to them. Can I give you a hug? Give them a hug. And then we smile, tell people they're doing well. And we've been through that this whole year. But I think we're at that moment, where it's become resolved. And I know for me personally, the events of last week, and my second live was with Will Fullwood and Frederick Pogue. And those two are just wonderful. The work they're doing is fantastic. I've known Will longer than Fred, but I've known Fred about a year now. And I just told them, I basically because I was so nervous about our trip that we took and getting back into the country, that I basically just resigned myself to thinking that was going to be, that went through my head. I resigned myself to thinking they were just going to kill us all when we came back. And sometimes that's an effective way to kinda get back and get over your fears, where you just, like, jump ahead. It's like, "Okay, what is the worst possible scenario?" Then you just kinda look at it and say, "Alright," and then you just kinda make peace with it. "Alright, that'll be the end of all my problems. They'll kill us, so I'll just enjoy these days if these are the last days." So I went through the days leading up to the trip with kinda sadness, and then we got through, and it's just sorta like, "Oh, this is all free time. This is all extra time now," you know? And I think it's yeah, just say fucking all, it says misuse. And I think we need to remember that. We're all living it's like no matter what, you're living on borrowed time. This is all borrowed time. It's all a gift. No matter how hard things are, and there's always moments. There's always moments that you can celebrate. We have to remember to celebrate those moments. That talk I did earlier in the week with Tevin Davis, man, that guy was something else, and I really, really hope I get a chance to talk to him some more. He's a superstar. I mean, he does all these videos that yeah, Fork it Friday, right? Yep. I'm out of Fox News. I keep saying making fun of the propaganda right-wing news. Anyway, I think it was Tuesday, was it this week? I talked to Tevin Davis, and a lot of the things I do, like as a writer, and I wanted you guys to know, um, I'll see something, I'm just like, I like this content, so I'll just reach out to somebody like, hey, let's have a live. Cause a lot of people haven't used this yet. They haven't used this tool yet. And I think I like to teach other people. I've got my Karma shirt on today. I like to teach other people how to use the tools at our disposal, to spread this message. I do a lot of that. And probably half of my work. I mean, you guys see the lives and you see my articles, but I spend as much time reaching out, trying to make new connections. Ellie Leonard calls me the connector, and I think that's really a pretty and nice thing to say to me. I like to connect people. I like to bring 3 people on alive. Even yesterday, Fred and Will hadn't met each other yet, and I'm looking forward to see more conversations between those 2. 3-person conversations, they're fun, but, you don't get to speak as much, and when you do 2 people conversations, you kinda really get to know each other, and yeah, Ellie does rock. I appreciate Ellie. And on Tuesday with Tevin Davis, it was really a really, yeah, well, it's appropriate for now, and I wrote a story about this because I wore it to the gym, and, somebody thought it said Kamala, and I kinda had to have a talk with this guy about how bad the Republican nominee was. Well, I don't know if I convinced him, but the story I wrote about it, I earned like 1,500 bucks on it off Medium. It really took off. So that was useful. But I wanna talk about, that talk with Tevin Davis. It was such a sweet talk, and he was as much me. I think he was just delighted to be on the talk and to see all the people coming into the chat because he had so many fans already here on Substack. He's like, "Oh my goodness, look at this, look at the hearts," and he was just delighted by it. So hopefully I can get another talk with him and to continue him on it. But he said a nice thing as we were talking. He's like, "Oh, we just met each other, this is," and he was complimentary about our interaction, and he's like, "We should." He was proposing all these things. He's gonna, yeah. Oh, thank you, Gilda. He's gonna I'll be able to talk to him maybe once or twice more, and he's gonna explode on Substack. He's gonna leave me in the dust, which is fine. This happens a lot to me, where I'll find people that are great, and I'll be like, "Hey, come over here. Let me support you." They take off, and then we don't talk to each other much anymore, and that's fine. That is absolutely fine. My job is to help people like get started, get launched, and for as long as they're around, as long as we're at the kind of the same level, we'll continue to talk. I'm so super happy to do it. But that was a good one, and it was the right time for it. I'd reached out to Tevin, like a month ago, but I didn't have good internet all last month. And so I'm like, "Hey," and because 'cause I'll send these messages to people, and sometimes it goes to their spam, and they don't get it. And it's like, don't be upset by that. That's another thing I have to walk people through a lot. I'll send a lot of emails and not get any kind of response. And I just want people to know that is the way it goes. It's not like I send an email, I get a response, it's settled. Of 10 emails, maybe I'll get a response from 1. And of the ones that I get a response to, maybe actually 1 in 10 will lead to an actual interview. So we're at 100 emails for every one of these interviews with a new person, approximately. And I just want people to be fortified by that because, if you're out there, if you're trying to start this, you're out sending things and you're like, well, nobody's responding to me. Why does it work for Walter? Understand that it's because of tenacity. It's because of stubbornness that I get it to work. It's not because of anything innate, and but Will said too, because he's like, "Man, how do you get all those" Will Fullwood, he's like, "How do you get all those great, guests to come on?" And I'm just like, I just write them. I'm like, "Hey, I've got this many followers. I wanna walk you through how to use a live, it'll be low pressure, we'll have a fun time, and we'll just get to know each other." He's like, "What a great idea for outreach." And that's constantly what we do, and what I've constantly done to build my platform. It's out it's all about lifting up other people, rising together. And, it's joyous, it's good work. What is Trajectory says, "I was getting 100 political emails a day last week," and yeah, man, that Michigan thing. That Michigan race, I mean, that was good this week. Holy smokes. And, yes, misused. It is, and it's also when you're out helping people, you feel good about it, so don't be discouraged if you're sending out messages and you're not getting responses. There's Lefty Prof. Lefty really appreciated, Tevin Davis, who I was just talking about. I was so delighted with that interview. It made me so happy. Oh, Miss Yu says, "I got up early, voted, and stayed up late to see the results. It was a great day." I wrote an article, I think it was on Wednesday, about that because good morning. Somebody just posted it. It's like, "Oh, El Sayed is way ahead in Michigan." I'm like, "Oh, it's done." And of course, then I went to bed, I'm like, "I'm not worried." And if everybody was commenting, it's like, "Walter, this is like 3% of the vote has been counted. You're jumping the gun." It's like it was a note, it's like a note. I guess I should be a little bit more careful because I got a pretty big following. So, but I don't see notes as like serious, note is like, "Oh, great, take that APAC." Yeah, Lefty says, "I'm gonna see Tevin in his plan, my birthday, the 29th." Yeah. Oh, that's so great. I hope you get there. Send a picture. I guess you like to be anonymous. You have an anonymous profile. That's totally understandable too. But I love that. I love that you got to see Tevin and he was so excited. It was so fun to watch that live because he's like, "Oh, Lefty knows who I am." And your Lefty was giving information about the play and the hearts were flying. That was a really, really great way to start that Tuesday. And then we finished it with the win where, they dumped $60 million into that. Just Haley Stevens was an awful candidate. I mean, she could not speak. It was awful. "Oh, I'm gonna meet him. We already planned it. I'm so excited." And I hope Tevin does his tour like he's been saying, because he said in the live, he's like, "Hey, I'll invite you to come talk." I'm like, "Okay, I'll come and do it." But it's like, you don't I'm not gonna hold you to that either because it's like that was just sort of in the delighting in the moment, but I don't think I'm that much of a name. Although I've been thinking of I don't know how many people live relatively close to me, but if there's like 5 or 10 people kinda in this area, I should go talk to the library and do a talk, like a live talk. I think something maybe I could set up my camera and do a Substack live in person at the library. That would be kind of fun. It'd be nice to meet a few more of you guys in real life. But yes, I mean, let's talk about that again with the election. And I wrote an article this morning, and, I think we're seeing more and more people. We've really gotta pound the DNC narrative, because they're eh, the establishment, that corporate, that PAC money, the genocide money Democrats are every bit a cult to the extent that MAGA is. They're rude, they insult us, they insult the voters, they're using dehumanizing language. We gotta put that to rest. Yesterday, when I was talking with Will Fullwood and Frederick Pogue, we brought up the fact that, we're a couple days away from the Wisconsin primary. That's Tuesday, the 11th. And Francesca Hong, who I interviewed 6 months ago, she's at the front. She's leading the polls. What's the code? The front runner. Um, and then just the other day, our current governor Tony Evers came out and he's just like, "Well, I don't know if she can beat Tom Tiffany." And I'm just like, "Buddy, I mean, I've liked what Tony Evers has done, but if you're gonna come out and you waste your platform eroding confidence in the front runner, you're you're done. I do not lose all respect for you. That is a bad strategy move, you know? And again, I like what Tony Universe has done, but because he's done good things doesn't mean he gets a free pass. When he says something that sabotages the person who is generating all the momentum, in this race. And I think as we go forward with our activism, I think that needs to be our guiding light. Now, at the same time, you have to be responsible. You can't get caught up in groupthink. You can't get caught up in the mob mentality and start just getting excited about any old proposal. But when people are legitimately saying brilliant things that people are excited about, humanitarian things you get excited about, you can't have somebody come along and say, "Wait, hey now, let's take the wind out of those sails." Because they start using words like responsible. I'm being a realist. I'm being practical. I'm being responsible, which they are not, because what they're being is a saboteur, and we can't allow that. Uh, oh, I don't know what this is, Lefty. I don't know who that person is, Lefty, but somebody had an anti Syed screed, and oh, in her live with JoJo. Okay, these people that are doing that, you have to get away from them. I mean, when people are coming out and when they're revealing themselves, everything is shaken out now. People are revealing what they've always been. And if people are attacking El Sayed, you're done with them. And that applies to Tony Evers. That's done. Move to the people that are saying the positive things, that are doing the real work, and regular people. Where we choose to put our money. I mean, we're talking about, we were talking yesterday too about doing that economic strike, the general strike. We can do that soft strike where you just retreat away from the bad influences and support the good influences. I've been begging people to do that. I mean, last month was a tough month. Anybody who has been ready to be a subscriber, to my platform here, you just come on as a a sponsor. Like I said, if you want to be a paid sponsor, but you can't afford it, just send me a direct message. I can send you a coupon for like whatever you can pay in a year. $5, $10, $1 a year. I can send you a coupon for that. It'll renew at that. But I just would like to get a couple more people on as paid sponsors. It helps. It helps me be seen. It helps me be seen and it helped me because this isn't my work is kind of done in these primaries because they're all kind of over. But I want to continue to be able to be the first step for great candidates who, hey, there's Shay. Good to see Shay. I want to be the first step for great candidates, so that they can do what we've done. And there's a couple people that I kind of helped launch, which I'm really, really excited about. But yeah, I mean, the people that are they're saying bad things about these candidates who are winning, even if they've done good things in the past, they've revealed themselves. They're false. And you just go listen to El Sayed talk. He's always very clear. He's like, I respect everybody's religion. He's going to stand up for the Jewish community, which is so important to say. Um, and he's just like, I'm going to work for everybody. All these lies that are coming out of the center to attack him and create this division. We have to combat that. I'm going to read a few more of these comments now. Oh gosh, yeah. Trajectory said, I heard APAC will now back Rogers. Yep. And we're seeing that. The same groups sponsor both parties, and that's our issue. Lefty says, I badgered her, the ex-Tea Partier. Those Tea Party people for preaching blue no matter who until she didn't like the candidate. And again, guys like Joe Walsh, can't have guys like Joe Walsh on your show. I mean, you could just look at that guy and know that he's not a good person. Elevate the good people. And also, it's like that is a crumbling past. That past is gone. All those former Tea Partiers, all those former Republicans. I had a guy attack me this morning. It was comical because I just saying it's like they've been saying Stevens was more electable, but then they wasted $60 million on her campaign and she lost. So I posted something to that effect. Somebody's like, 60 million. Are you sure about that? So I posted a news article, I think it was from the New York Times, saying, yeah, they spent 60 million. But then I checked who this person subscribed to, and it was Adam Kinzinger and Midas Touch. And I'm like, no wonder these people are divided because they're listening to the lies of those groups, the center and right wing lies of people like Midas is not with us. I wish people would just get this through their head. Stop supporting the millionaires, support the small groups, the small creators like me. Oh, there's Evie too. Good to see Evie. Do you want to come on in a minute, Evie? I'm going to go through a couple more of these comments, but if you want to come on, I've got a little bit of a moment this morning. Yeah, and we're seeing and this as the pressure increases, and as we see more and more of the anti-establishment candidates get into power, the amount of money they're having to spend right now, like that 60 million spent on Stevens, that hurts their ability to do these other that was just an absurd amount of money to spend on a primary. Yeah, oh, and then it's like, yeah, well, he rode the DSA volunteers and Bernie's endorsement, and then a month before the primary, he quit paying his DSA. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know about. Do you want to come on, Evie, and talk about that issue? I don't know, but yesterday was a good day. Got to talk, and I also I ended off my day yesterday. Yeah, what a waste! But it's also all this money. And they're just not buying. They're just not believing. Even when they spend 60 million on a candidate in a primary, why are you spending any money in primaries? Why are you spending Okay, she's looking for glasses, but I can send the thing in a second here. Wait for the general. Wait for that money for the general. But I mean, it's clear they care more about the primary. I've been saying this for a year. They say they care more about the primaries because they can create the illusion of a choice. Ms. Hughes says all that money they waste on a candidate instead of putting it back into our economy to help the people that really show you how much they truly hate America. But I mean, it's also just let the primary process happen on its own. We get the candidate. Okay, dump the money into that candidate. But what we're seeing is the purchase of candidates to provide the illusion of a choice. And the American public is waking up to it. We're seeing more and more anti-establishment candidates get or get elected, win their primaries. The DNC establishment continues to be petulant about it, where they refuse to support. They keep speaking disrespectfully against the voters, and all of this has to end. It has to end. I'll send my invite to Evie here. I wanted to ask too. I got to know Evie because somebody sent me one of her articles. Oh, there's Ashley. Good to see Ashley. Somebody sent me one of Evie's articles. I would like to be reminded who that was. They're just like, hey, you should get to know. And I want to encourage people to continue to do that. If you find a writer and they're just like, hey, this person's really on top of things, I like to help people. I when I met Will Fullwood early on, I talked to him. Kinzinger is awful. Kinzinger is awful, Jenny. He presents himself, and there's this whole issue. These people that present themselves as our allies. But if you, Jenny, you've seen that the Democrats, like when Mamdani gets in there, they do not support Mamdani. And Kinzinger is in that group. You know, Kinzinger never uses his platform to elevate a DSA candidate. He spends all of his time critical of the Democrats, even though he says he's anti-MAGA. All he ever does is criticize the Democrats. It's pretty clear to me that he is being propped up. I don't think he has a legitimate following. So many of the people that are from the legacy media and legacy politics, they're propped up by outside forces, outside money. He's only in it for himself. Yeah, he continues to call himself a Republican. What is his position on reproductive health care? I do not understand why people would ever sponsor somebody who is not an advocate for access to reproductive health care. And the Republican Party, I mean, that's the entire Republican Party has worked to rob women of their bodily autonomy. We just have to start having a serious, and I think too, when it comes to the J6, I think he and Liz Cheney sabotaged the J6 committee. I think they were on that committee to prevent certain information from coming out. That's my speculation on that. And nothing came of it, did it? We didn't get people arrested because of that. But the guy's got so much money. It's like, honestly, people just still haven't understood this. There's a big difference between these grassroots candidates and the APAC corrupt candidates. Those guys get millions. I mean, 60 million spent on Haley Stevens's campaign. She doesn't care if she loses. You get other people that are, you look at people like AOC who ran on just less than $1 million, a couple $100,000 they got in donations, $20 donations. And people like me, there's no corporate sponsorship. There's nothing propping me up. So many of these articles you're seeing, so many of these publications on Substack, they are propped up. They have millionaire sponsors. They're trying to, influence their propaganda mechanisms. Yeah, and then Ashley says, "I didn't realize that early on." I didn't either. This whole year, couple years, has been ripping away the veil, but we're seeing the extent of the corruption. And a lot of money is spent to manipulate the narrative as a form of propaganda. And, what's sad is when people end up selling their soul not for $1,000,000. I gotta send it again, she says. All right. Hopefully I can cancel and send it again. Sometimes it doesn't like to do that when I do it twice. All right, I just sent it again. Evie, let's see if it works. I jumped the gun. So hopefully, well, if she can't come on, then I'll just continue talking. But I always do appreciate being able to talk to you. Lately, we've been getting the dreaded the live stream has already ended um sign. So if we get that, that'll be the issue with Evie, and I'll continue to talk. Jenny says, all I ever hear criticize. Well, see, now I think that's actually assumption. I think we want him. I think it's actually wishful thinking. Because if you actually look at what he says, when they invaded Venezuela, he called it the right call. I remember this. I have the tweet. I have a screenshot of it. When they when they when they bombed the enrichment facilities in Iran, he called that the right call too. And if you start looking, yeah, okay, well, let me know. I sent it again, Evie. Let me know if it goes there. And I think we really want him to be on our side, but the reality is that every time when something's critical, he backs away. Watch for that because they're false. Yay, it worked. We got that. Hey, Evie.
Yeah, I had to switch over. I tried to switch over from my phone to computer, but it wasn't working. So I'm
Well, we
back
were
on the
just
phone.
Oh, well, you look great. We got you here. And yeah, we're just continuing talking and just encouraging people, just give up that corporate, that big money media. And I've been saying too, with all the candidates I interview, we need to build a progressive media. Otherwise, these progressive candidates we elect are not going to succeed because they're going to have everything attacked. The general public is going to be
Yeah.
turned against them by the corrupt media. So it's critical for you guys to support us. And I really appreciate all the support we have. But how are you this morning? It's a Friday. We made it to another Friday.
I'm good. I just woke up not too long ago and just kind of got my coffee and I'm ready to go. I clicked onto Substack just to see what was going on and saw you were live. So of course I'm gonna go in and see what's going on with Walter.
Yeah, avoid the oligarch radio. But it's been a
Yeah,
good week, and I think it
it
occurred
has
to me
been.
yesterday. Well, when I was talking with Will and Fred, I'm like, I was just kind of resigned to die when we came back in. It was like easier to just be like, they're gonna kill us, so I'll enjoy my last days. And now this is just
Yeah.
like borrowed time, and so I'm just like, let's just be happy because we're winning. We're getting wins.
Yeah, no, we're getting wins across the whole country. I wrote something this morning though, because of course the first thing I see is this Will Lawrence, how the day after the primary, he went on CNN and said, "Oh yeah, I quit paying my dues a month
Oh,
ago." And I'm
oh,
like, "Man, why would you do that?" You use the DSA to do all this door knocking for you and volunteering and all this, you know,
yeah,
I guess riding their
that's in
coattails
Michigan,
and
right?
yes. And then he said that he quit paying his dues, so I'm just like, "Oh boy, this smells funny to
Yeah,
me."
but we have to expect that, and it's like this DSA,
Mm,
it's the popular thing right now, and it's gonna be the same thing as people like Joe Walsh or Tucker Carlson. Well, this is the movement. I'm part of that movement now. And then they have no
yeah,
intention of actually being part of that movement. No, and Kinzinger is not with us.
yeah,
None of it. We need new voices. And if we get duped and we elect somebody who claims we think is for us, they turn out not to be. We replace
yeah,
them. We got to continue, and that's why we have to continue to build these platforms, replacing worthless candidates with good ones.
yeah. I think everybody knows how I feel about Adam Kinzinger. I wrote a nice little
That guy. Yeah.
nice little thing about him. Everybody calls these pieces that I write, they call them hit pieces, but they're really not hit
Truth
pieces. They're
pieces,
just
fact
truth.
pieces.
Yeah, they're hey, look what he did. What a piece of shit.
Well, and then you don't have to look too far into Joe Walsh with all of this thing about child support, and there was this big, and it's like, look, and I know a lot of
Character
people are like,
matters.
"What's that?"
Character matters now. We're at that point now where we can't just this isn't a purity test. This is the right is right, wrong is wrong. Morals are they matter.
Yeah.
And when you have a whole track record of being a piece of shit human being,
Yeah.
your whole freaking career. It's like, well, there's how many millions of people, the eligible people in this country, and we're settling for the criminals and the deadbeat dads
Yeah.
and, the wife beaters and like, I'd rather not.
Yeah, and I don't understand where that proximity to power thing, because they look at Joe Walsh and they're like, "Oh, he's got the orange check mark, so he's got, thousands of paid supporters, and he's got however 100 many." But it's like, he was involved with this case, and I guess it got
Mm,
settled or whatever, but there was accusations against him for not paying child support, and it's like, if you're gonna present yourself as an advocate for women's rights, why are you platforming a guy who's involved in a thing like that? And we're seeing, like, like Troy Jackson, like the new guy that replaced Plattner, and I've seen people
mhm,
be critical because there's this issue with him throwing a water bottle, and we should
mhm.
be critical of that, but it's like, throwing a water bottle versus, like, being involved in a court case for not paying child support, it's always that different level,
Yeah.
and
Or
just the
raping a
willingness to
woman.
forgive. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think it was somebody just said, it's like, can make a list, and it is really hard to navigate this because, of course,
Mhm.
these platforms are gonna push those big names, and everybody's like, "Oh, this
Mhm.
seems to be a thing," and on your first live, they're gonna be charismatic. You
Right.
know very well, abusive people are the most charismatic because they have
Mhm.
to overcome the fact that all those red flags are going off in the back of your mind, and
Yep.
we just have to, as a society, get to the point to spend our time with people where the red flags don't go off. I mean, we're not really conditioned to do that. So people are like, "Oh,
Yeah.
I'm not familiar with this," and then they wander away.
Yeah. It's exhausting because it's not only just, looking for the red flags, but then when, everybody has them. Everybody, people are human. We make mistakes. We do
Yeah,
things
yeah.
that, are, I've made I got a whole book full of mistakes that I've made.
Yeah.
But we don't want to be judged on the mistakes that we make, especially if we put forth an effort to really kind of be a
Yeah.
better person and do these things. But there comes a point where we have to really kind of sit down and say, hey, these are our leaders. And if they're, it's one thing that if they did something, like stole candy from a store when they were 12 years
Yeah,
old,
yeah,
or something like that, or they got a Nazi tattoo, or they
yeah.
beat their wife and broke their daughter's
Oh god.
clavicle.
Yeah.
I mean, like, that's the kind of stuff where it's like we have to have that discernment
Yes.
where, there are forgivable things and then there are things where it's like, whoa.
Yes. And we have to look at the enablers too. Like, how
Yeah.
often has Kinzinger been attacking Ken Paxton? He's
Yeah.
got a massive platform. He all by himself could probably sink that guy. He's
Right.
not. And it's just like, this is where the issue is, because he'll come out and he'll be like, "How about that reflecting pool? How about that?" And it's just like, that's
Right.
a distraction, and we can watch it, and you can be deceived into thinking, "Oh, he's on our side. Look at how he's taking it to that guy." But he's
Mhm.
actually distracting us from the real crimes that are out there and the places where we could really apply our activism. And that's that middle ground deceit where they present
Mhm.
themselves. Those are the most dangerous ones. They present
Yeah.
themselves as our allies to the point where you can kind of believe it, but then when push comes to shove, they're not there for the critical battles.
Yeah, no, company, the company people keep is important. And that's why I'm like, I don't know, if there's, 99 Nazis sitting at a table and you
Yeah.
sit down with them, there's 100 Nazis at the fucking table.
Man.
And that's just the way that's I will dig my toes 10,
Yep,
10
10
toes
toes
deep into
down.
the ground and I will stand on what I say when it comes to that because I've lived enough life now and I've been around enough people to where I'm like the pattern is always the same.
Yes,
And I
yes.
can't, if you've got all those, you know,
Yep, I keep
uh
talking about that too. Nerve
nerves in your
endings.
gut.
Yeah.
Yeah, you've got all those nerves in your gut and if they're screaming at you, your gut is like it's your second brain. It's the thing that keeps you safe. It's that trigger mechanism that
Yep,
says, "Hey, there's something wrong here. I'm picking up a pattern. You need to pay attention." And if your gut is screaming at you, listen to it.
yep, yep. And that's the essence of deceit, but that also gets to the old Lincoln quote where he says, "You can fool some of the people all the people some of the time, but not all the people all the time." And it's
Yeah.
because of that, because 'cause we've got that extra mechanism. Like, so much of our
Mhm.
bodies, involuntary response, breathing, our heart beating, there's a whole
Mhm.
part of your body that keeps you alive, And that also has like a default mechanism when you're trying to convince yourself to do something foolish. It's just like,
Mhm.
nope. And like the next thing you know, you're just like, you're about to do something and then you find you physically can't. Like something, there's like an
Yeah.
override switch in there. And that's
Yeah.
the thing. We are wise, and that goes back generations, generational trauma that we
Mhm.
carry and pass down. And it's like our entire structure, our media structure, our political structure is designed to make our minds override this impulse to just protect our own bodies. That's
Right.
deceit. Kinzinger's great at it. Tucker
Yeah.
Carlson is great at it. I'm just a dad. Evie's a mom. It's like we're the type of people we need to listen to. And these are also the type of, and I'm going to help. I know at this point, I'm not the guy for running for office just because I've talked to so many candidates who are so much better than me. Just
Mhm.
brilliant, brilliant. And it's like, I just want to get these brilliant women into office because it's like, that's going to fix everything. Just get them in there. Speaking of that, though, I want to ask about your interview with the governor candidate from Minnesota on Wednesday.
It went really well. I mean, I think that, she was young. She's 26 years old and this,
Yes.
but she does have she's got experience in this. She's worked in government. She's got a political science degree. She knows what she's doing and she's got really, really good ideas. But I think that her campaign wasn't as strong as I think she wanted it to be, and she was trying to use other avenues
Uh-huh.
to get votes. So she was more doing the digital thing, and she wasn't door knocking and
Okay.
sending out flyers and things like that.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's going to hurt her or not. Her governor race against the establishment
Yeah. Yeah.
donor dem Amy Klobuchar,
Yeah.
um, Miss APAC herself. I don't know what's going to happen, honestly, because there isn't a lot of people that know about Kobe Lane. So
Yeah.
if you're in Minnesota or you know anybody in Minnesota, the primary is August 11th,
Oh,
and I
also
mean,
August 11th. Okay.
mhm.
You know,
So yeah, just
excuse me, I'm
but see,
coughing.
this is another thing, like she's not in the media, so this is something that I had to go out and I had to kind of search for and dig for. And I found her late again, just like with David Costello, just before the primary, I'm saying, "Oh, there's this person."
Yeah.
So I'm glad that she decided to do the live with me. I'm glad that people know her name. And, she's got a really great attitude. And, she knows that, if this doesn't work out for her, she's not going to stop. This is
Excuse me. I don't know what's wrong with me this morning.
it's okay. Yeah, but she knows that this isn't the end of the road for her, and she's like,
Yes.
this is gonna be her life, and she's committed, and,
Good.
so that's good, and she's just she's smart, and she's got a lot of great ideas, and I think that, Minnesota's lucky to have her. The way that she executed things with her campaign, I think could have been better, but, it
Well,
is what it
that's
is, we're all in new terrain right now.
yes. That's the thing, and I was the one I wrote a couple days ago, it's like, we've been building the plane as we fly it, but we've
Mhm,
been doing this for 2 years. The plane's built now. And it's sorta
mhm.
like, it's the same thing. You take, like, World War II, you get attacked, "Oh, shit," and it's like then you persist for 6 months, and it's like, we're used to this now. They came at us fully prepared. We
Yeah.
responded just scrambling, but now we've had time to persist long enough where we're pushing back. And, like, Erica Kopp too, it's like, you did
Mhm.
great. She didn't win her primary. That was a hard one anyway because there was, like, 7 people in that primary.
I
So it's like,
know, and that's
yeah,
another thing. Why are we flooding things why can't we just, you know, narrow
yeah.
things down just a little bit? I don't know. There's gotta be some kind of a way to narrow things down a little bit because that was ridiculous that she was
Well,
running with all those
I
people.
like, having all those people canvass the district, I think is good. Yeah, whether I don't know, the argument can be made. Does that help the APAC candidate then? Because there's so many and it divides the oppositional vote? Or are you getting more people out there saying, "Hey, just don't vote for that person. Vote for" I think we can coordinate with that. And
Yeah.
so, but I mean, all these people have learned so much, and you saw that talk I did with Eric Turway, and I like to talk to the candidates
Mhm.
I interview again after the primaries because I
Mhm.
want to establish for them. I'm in this for the long haul. This
Yeah.
isn't, like the lead up and then it's over. We're gonna keep going. And now,
Yeah.
and they've learned so because so many of these people are like, I'm gonna run for Congress. And they're like, start
Mhm.
running and they learn so much. And they get done with that primary and they're like, gee, I wish I'd done this. It's like, well, do it. Keep the
Yeah.
momentum going for the next one because now you know the next race is going to be different because you know so much more. Plus, all these candidates are great speakers. They're in sync with us with all the policies. The more they're
Mhm.
out there talking about these things, because we have to educate the general public because the general public
Yeah.
has been brainwashed by Fox News and right wing media and the church. I'm going to do another article like calling
Mhm.
everybody, saying everybody's a sinner is just child grooming for sexual abuse. No
Yep.
more of that. That has to
Mhm.
stop. And I'm just like getting so sick of just the talk I did. I had to talk this week with Daedra and Karen, and it was just about that how we allow these churches to just propagandize people into just this authoritarian abuse culture, particularly in rural areas.
Mhm.
We got to push back against it.
Well, even here in the cities, like I live in McKinney, Texas, and we've got mega churches everywhere. And the mega churches are actually like kind of crazier than the rural churches. Like I
Well,
grew up in a smaller church, a smaller Catholic church, and I felt like they had some pretty extreme, they were extreme Roman Catholics, but these mega churches are bad shit. Oh my God. Just some of the things that they spout off and I mean, it's you walk into these mega churches and it's like you feel like you're walking into a cult. It's uncomfortable.
where there's like a
I had to deliver
Starbucks
mail
in the
one
church.
time.
Yeah.
Yeah, I had to deliver mail there one time because the school I worked at was right next door to a mega church. And we got their mail. So I walked over and gave them their mail. And the second I walked in that church, it was just like
Oof. Yeah. Yeah.
uncomfortable. They had like marble and gold, everything. And I'm like, how much does it cost to be a member of this church? My God.
Yeah. I was reflecting on that too, like how as a kid, like the things you did just to survive, to be happy. And there's some
Mhm.
nostalgia for moments as childhood, but truly I didn't know what happiness was,
Yeah.
at age 10 or 15, just coming out of through these corrupt systems where people are just you're always told that you're not good enough and that's the reason for all your suffering and if you're just punished
Mhm.
enough maybe you'll be better. And it's like this is just it has to end. We can't allow it
Yeah.
anymore, and that comes up a lot as I talk to Will Fullwood. We just have to have a society that respects human dignity a little bit. And that
Yeah.
river of culture, it's hard to shift that. It's hard to get it out of the trench that it's in or the riverbed and put it because you have to push all the water over the hill, and if you don't get it
Mhm.
all, it comes trickling right back to where it was. But we're in this moment now where so many people are willing to listen to these arguments. The article I wrote today, I hope people go and read because what I'm critical of is historically the Democrats have not only just influenced their primaries, they like to go out and support more radical candidates on the right, thinking that that's how they're gonna win. And
Yeah.
I remember Mitt Romney was critical of this. He said, "You're playing with fire." So I wrote about that in the context of the 2016 election. And we
Yeah.
often forget 2016 featured 2 Democrats. They were both Democrats. One of them switched parties, and he
Mhm.
was the patsy.
Mhm.
We
Mhm.
need to start holding the DNC accountable
Well, it's
for this.
because we're controlled opposition, and I think everybody's starting to see that.
Yeah. Well, they got it
And
out of
the
hand.
fact
Yeah.
I think the thing that pissed me off the most was I was sick and tired of them jockeying things to where we were forced to pick between this person and this
Yeah.
person.
Yeah.
We didn't get to choose, like there was just so much propaganda and there were so many lies and so many, don't vote for this person because this person's this way. Just like Mike Rogers, right after El Sayed won, he was talking to people after the win. And he was like, does Michigan really want someone who said we deserve 9/11?
Yeah.
And he never
Lie.
said that. El Sayed never said that. That was Hassan Piker. But, and I do, I know a lot of people have thoughts about Hassan Piker, but Hassan Piker is a cage rattler. And I think he's so good for this movement because he's getting people to go, what the fuck?
Yeah.
What? But I think he's so good for this movement because it's getting people to kind of rattle their cages and get them out of the
Yes.
box for a second.
I've seen him. He's been out there promoting Francesca Hong a lot. I'm just like, I'm grateful because she's fantastic. And
Yeah.
I did my little thing where she's just like, I had a really nice moment yesterday because I went back and I republished. I've been republishing because the August 11th is the primary for Wisconsin. And when I interviewed Francesca Hong, I'm like, "Let's get our country back." And she goes, "Let's fucking go." And I go,
Let's fucking
"Yeah."
go. I know. I love that.
I was so excited by it. And she was on the news the other day. So I had a nice moment with my
Mhm.
family there. She was on the news. So I'm like, I'm going to show that clip, that 8-second clip to my daughters, and they're
Yeah.
just like, holy shit, that's kind of a big deal. Cause I'm
Yeah.
just, I was actually just so happy. I try to write good things and I try to say good things, but I was just pleased with my instinctive reaction to just celebrate when she's like, let's fucking go. And I'm like, yeah, I was like, oh,
I
that made
know.
me happy. She brought a lot of joy.
Well, she's a breath of fresh air too. It's really nice to see politicians that, talk like us, think like us, just normal people, just
Yeah.
normal ordinary people. I'm so tired of the scripted politicians.
Yeah.
I'm just
Yes.
over it.
Well, and we've learned that too, and I'm sure you've seen it because you've done so many interviews now, and that's been the thing
Yeah.
that really stood out. Because I was nervous when I first started talking to politicians, but then you realize these ones that are willing to talk to me, they're not
Mhm.
gonna redirect everything to, like, some corporate narrative, and we've had
Right.
some we've talked to where you see them, they're just like, "Oh," and they actually will stop and they will consider the response rather than
Mhm.
like, "No, oh, that's into the social program that would actually help people. I'm not allowed to talk about that." You can see that, and then they go into
Right.
the next thing. So, yeah,
Yeah.
and I wanna encourage people too, like, our job is kinda done. At this point, Edie, like, the primaries are so close, we can't elevate people that
Mhm.
much. It was critical in January, when it was like,
Yeah.
nobody knew who Francesca Hong was. I was just like,
Right.
every single person in the race, I was reaching out to them, "Come and talk to me." And that little
Mhm.
boost, like, if she got, like, $500 in sponsorships from talking to me, that's huge, like, in your first, "Oh, this is proof of
Yeah.
concept," type thing. So our job is gonna continue, but that's the year before,
Mhm.
the next election.
Yeah, and the casual conversations are good to have though. Like I just heard back from the person who's representing my city, um, Brittany Black, and she literally I was in bed and I, do my little 15-minute scroll before I like settle down for the night. And I happened to check my email and she had reached back out to me. And I think our primary is the 18th. I gotta double check on the thing, but there's still a little bit of time before our primary, but it is late in the game.
Yeah, but
And, I hope that, we can get something scheduled, but it's at this point for me, I'm more focused on the next one now.
yep, yep,
So, the primaries are here. A lot of them have come and gone.
yeah.
Yes, we're gonna focus on elections and everything, and we're
Mhm.
gonna be like pushing, for the people that we feel are
Yeah,
great for this country. But it takes time for people to build trust and get to know. And that's the one thing
yes.
that I've learned about these primaries is that, money and ideology alone is not winning these things. It is the fact that trust has been broken so bad in this country that people are more they're looking to candidates that they feel they can trust.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
we don't care if, you spent what was it, $72 million?
yeah, yeah.
That's so crazy.
She's so
Yeah.
electable that even 72,000,000 can't get her elected. I mean, like, come on, you
That is
know how bad she is.
embarrassing.
Yeah,
Yeah, so it's not money, and and we've been seeing this a lot with APAC people and big PAC money
how
people
much
is that
money do
it's
they
not
have?
money.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's getting these people elected because it's not working. But it's also not ideology alone. It's not, people are tired of getting smoke blown up their ass and there's like they want actual evidence and they want, your word and they want shit in writing and they,
yep,
like
yeah,
it's the trust. It's the trust has been broken. So if I can be a part of helping these candidates build trust for the next round, that's where I'm going to focus.
yes. And I'm really
Mhm.
focusing on a lot of these people I've developed relationships with, but yeah, they've lost their primary because it's like, first of all, you have to navigate the heartbreak, and it's reasonable.
Mhm.
They put their heart and soul into these races, the
Yeah,
heart and soul, and they worked so hard. I mean, Erica was working a full-time job and running.
I
I talked
know.
with Melissa Bird about this too, and she got emotional a couple times. They're like, okay, 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 but it's not over. It's not over.
Yeah.
And they are, because they know things I don't know. They know how to get
Mhm.
on the ballot. These are things I don't know, but I know how to kind of get some attention and be kind of a clown, the class clown, get people to come and look.
Mhm.
And they can send more people to this platform. They can build this up, and then the next time around, because now we got 2 full years, more than that to get them elected again. So
Yeah.
it is pretty exciting. And it's just, again, we have to push back against the propaganda And people
Mhm.
can't be distracted because if a guy with a huge platform, if like Joe Walsh, he wants to come and talk to you, knock, knock, knock. It's not for
Mhm.
you. He wants to do it for himself. He's
Yeah.
trying to, and it's just shameful how, like a candidate like Haley Stevens gets 60 million, but some people will sell out for like $100 founding membership on their Substack.
Mhm.
Oh, here's 100. And then they're like, oh, I really like your stuff, but could you stop talking about this? And so it's
Yeah.
like, if you are going to sell out, don't sell out for $100 at the very least and bring on
Yeah.
good people. Don't bring on corrupt people.
Yeah, and I think, and that's one thing that I always, I don't know, I'm not beholden to people, if it,
Yeah.
honestly, I mean, even like you, Walter, if you started getting shisty, I would
Yeah.
just, it's then it's done, and I don't think twice about it. I want to be moving in the right direction. And if I've got people that are starting to do switcheroos on me or starting to, kind of go towards the dark path, I'm still going this way.
Yeah.
I'm not
Yeah.
I'm not going down that path with you. But with Joel Walsh, I also wrote a piece on Joel Walsh and it pissed him off enough to where
Well, yeah.
um
He attacked.
Camu Bell restacked it and said, Camu approved. So I was like, okay, this is a person that I respect. I really like Camu Bell. And I think that he does a lot of great for social movements. He does a lot of good things bringing people together and like kind of moving in the right direction. So I
Good.
absolutely respect him. But then, Joe Walsh reached out to Camu Bell to talk about
Yeah.
my piece.
Yep.
And Lev
Yep.
Parnas did the same shit when I
He
wrote the
did that to
piece about
me.
Lev.
Lev came
Yeah,
out to
he
me.
he was reaching out to other people to talk about my piece. So, I was kind of like, well, if this is the way that they play,
Operate. Yeah.
I'm more than happy to expose that.
Yep.
Let them, like I don't care. And people need to be able to make their own decisions. I'm not going to influence their decision. And then, I had people coming at me like, "Well, why don't you talk to him? Why don't you talk to him?" And I'm like, "Listen, he had an opportunity to reach out to me if he wanted to talk about it and
Yeah.
he didn't want to. He reached out to somebody else to do it." So that
Yeah.
again, I'm
Yep.
done. Moving
And
on.
and look, it's like, and these people, I've blocked people. I had somebody, I'm not gonna say who, when I had somebody who came, he's like, I'm critical of Evie. And I'm just like, block. The second they send me this thing in a message, it's like, I'm done with you then. And it's
A
like,
lot of people are critical of me though, Walter. I mean, look at the shit that I write.
well, the thing is, it shouldn't be you. If they say, they shouldn't mention your name at all. They say, here's an issue that's near
Mhm,
and dear to my heart, and these are the words I'd like you to use instead of the words you did use. I'll listen. And it's like, okay, I get it. That's a
mhm,
sensitive thing. You're educating me about something I didn't see because of my privilege or my
mhm.
life experience. Fine. But if somebody comes and is like, that Evie, I don't like these things she's doing. It's like, go talk to her then. I'm not your little messenger
Yeah.
bird, block. That kind of
Yeah, I don't
bullshit.
know why. I don't know what that's all about. My
Well,
family
it's
does
not
the
just
same
people have
thing.
done that about other creators too. When I block the ones, whenever anybody comes to me and they're critical of, the ones that are like people that I know and I work with, yeah, it's like, no, we're not gonna
Yeah.
do that. And it's like,
But, but that's the thing though, Walter, is like I've been no contact with my family for 10 years now, and not a single one of them ever reach out to me. They like to talk about me, but they don't talk to me.
well, I've
And
had
I
that
don't know what that
situation.
is. That maybe it's because I just don't like I'm not going to let them get away with the narrative.
It's it's the flying monkeys thing, because I've had that happen, because I've been no
Yeah.
contact too, and then I have people come to me and they're like, "I was talking with your dad." It's like, "Well, then go keep talking to him,"
Were
you
you?
know?
Yeah.
But he sits there and you see
Mhm.
these unscrupulous people, narcissists, and they're
Yeah.
they're they're like, "Hey," but it starts like this. It's like, "Hey, let me do this favor for you," or "Come with me to this football It's like this big
Mhm.
thing. The only reason they're reaching out, they're trying to make you feel good about yourself. The only
Mhm.
reason they're reaching out is because they wanna plant the seed so that you go and attack somebody that they're mad at. And that's the
Yeah.
same thing with, like, Joe Walsh. "Oh, I wanna come on your platform." And then it's like, but he just wants to come on so we can attack, like, the progressive movement. It's not about you at
Mhm.
all. He's using you. And they
Yeah.
use you in the sense of, "Oh, I'm your buddy. I'm gonna support you. Oh, I've been anointed by this massive, popular creator." But
Yeah.
I've fallen for that too, because I used to think, "Okay, it's natural, I guess." You jump on Substack, you're
Mhm.
like, how do I increase my platform?" Well, you find people
Mhm.
that are bigger and you go and talk to them. But the reality is most of the ones that are bigger are completely artificial. They're all propped up. They got their corporate
Yeah.
support. and so
Yeah.
I've talked with those and gotten 0 new supporters from it. It's like, how is it possible that not one person decided to subscribe even though you got like 300,000 subscribers? Something is off.
Yeah. Something is off. And I've even noticed, like certain creators on this app. I was like, how the hell do you go from having, 1,000, 3,000 subscribers to 15,000 subscribers in less than 3 weeks? How does that happen? How does that organically happen?
Mhm,
I just,
mhm.
I wasn't quite sure. So I kind of did a little digging and tried to figure out, how does this happen? I talked to some other creators who actually, know the behind the scenes stuff in Substack. And they were telling me that a lot of them is just like email imports.
Yep,
They're
yep,
just dead emails.
yep.
They're not actual subscribers, because if you notice with some of these bigger accounts, they'll put a piece out or they'll put a note out and they get, 4 likes,
Yeah,
maybe a
yeah.
restack, but they've got hundreds of, 1,000, not hundreds of thousands, but like they've got like 15 to 20,000 subscribers.
Yeah,
Those
yeah,
aren't organically grown
yeah,
accounts. Those are fake
yep,
accounts. Those
and
are
then
not real subscribers.
and then there's some of those kind of conglomerate Substacks where they have a bunch of writers, and it looks like they're
Yeah.
really big, but I talked to
Like the
somebody.
Bulwark.
Yeah, well, I wasn't gonna name any names, so I'm not gonna say that it
Well,
was the
I
Bulwark,
did. The
but yeah,
Bulwark.
yeah. Well, I have more of a story, but I'll tell you what. But I talked to somebody, it wasn't the Bulwark. He said he actually had to pay to be involved in this conglomerate media enterprise. He published articles with them. I'm like, "Well, how many views did you get?" And he was like, "Oh, like 300." I'm like, I'm like, "What? You only got 300 views on this thing?" It's like, if they've got, millions of subscribers, why are you not getting 50,000, 100,000 views? Because it's all
Yeah.
lies, and people
Yeah.
are duped by that. Yeah, my karma shirt, people like that. Somebody asked about Waj, it's like I've had no interaction with Waj. I'll just put it like that. I think I've reached out to him. Maybe I haven't. I can't remember for sure. But he should know who I am at this point. And at some point, you'd think if he was really legitimate, it's like, here's the thing. It's like I've interviewed Melad Kiros and Francesca Hong. Pretty clear what side I'm on. Fox News did a hit piece on me. If people are sincerely in this progressive movement, they should. I've done enough where people can see that I'm legitimate, then we should be
Mhm.
working together. And Waj has got a much bigger platform. That wouldn't be me having Waj on. That would be Waj having me on. He hasn't done it.
Yeah.
And he's got the orange check mark and everything. I'm the one who's much more likely to be jettisoned, not be able to do this anymore. I need the support more than he does.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't follow bigger accounts like that. I kind of I want to talk to everybody. And
Yeah,
I'm not the kind of
yeah,
person, like, I don't care if you've got 100,000 subscribers or if you've got, 10 subscribers. I want to talk to everybody. I
yeah,
reach out to everybody. I've been reaching out to people who've got, 20 subscribers just because I'm like, hey, this was a great piece.
yeah,
I would
yeah,
really love to talk about it.
yeah,
And sometimes people get a hold of me, sometimes they don't. But I reach out to everybody. And I'm
yeah,
also the kind of person where it's like I treat the CEO the same way I treat the janitor,
yeah, yeah,
because they're people. We're all just people. When Derek was interviewing for his job, when my husband was interviewing for his corporate jobs, he would get all kind of nervous and everything. And I would look at him I'm like, Derek, they're just people, man. I was
yeah.
like, they wake up every morning, they shit, shower, and shave. They're just like us.
Yes.
They're just people, and I'm sure that they are feeling the same way when it comes to certain things. Like, we're just all people. We're all just trying to get through in this life and make
Yes.
connections and build community. So people who, when you're reaching out and you're trying to build community with people, and they just are like,
Yeah,
you only have 4,000 subscribers? I
yeah,
don't fucking think so.
yeah,
Screw them. I don't care. Like, I don't want to be part of that community.
yeah. And I mean, a lot of it was because in the early stages, a year ago, I'm like, I have a decent following, but it's really the more visibility we can get for people, especially like, okay,
Yeah.
I talked to Francesca Hong. Oh my God, this is, the next AOC. This is the next Mondani. And it's like, so I reached out to all the big creators on Substack. You guys need to, and not one of them. All these guys that claim to be
Mhm.
fighting fascism, elevate this person, please, elevator. You've got, and it's like
Mhm.
because they have, oh, you've got 100,000 or 500,000 subscribers. They didn't fucking do it.
Yeah.
People like you do it. And so then
Mhm.
it's like, it took me a while, but I shifted my strategy because they're all a bunch of phonies. I just really feel that. All these guys, they come out, they claim, oh, we're in this fight with you. But if they're not elevating people that are the new voices, they are not
Yeah.
with us. And it's like, and Kinzinger is the easy one. There's others that are more left of Kinzinger that are also not really with us. And it's just
Yeah.
like sorting through those lies because they're very good at those lies. But yeah, again, I talked to Tevin Davis the other day, and he only, but he's clearly a superstar. That guy's going to have 100,000 subscribers, within a year. And I just hope he
Mhm.
remembers me at that point, but he doesn't even have to. I'm just happy to
Mhm.
launch him. And I met
Yeah.
you, and you didn't have that many subscribers. Somebody sent me an
No,
email
I
with one of your
honestly I
articles.
didn't yeah, it was Chris Resists.
Oh, was it
He
Chris
reached
who
out to
wrote that?
me. Yeah, he
Okay.
reached out to me and he said, "Hey, I reached out to my friend Walter Ryan. He's going to be getting a hold of you
Oh,
about
okay.
this article." And I said, "Oh, cool." I just started off and I was like, "Hmm." And then you're like, "Hey, do you want to go live?" And I'm like
What is that?
sweating and I don't know. I
Oh,
don't know if I can do that. I haven't like faced people in 4 years. I
oh,
don't know if I
wow.
can do, I've just been, head down writing in my office for the last 4 years and just kind of let my social life go. I quit my job and then all of a sudden, Walter was like, "Hey, I got a spotlight. You want to be in it?" And I'm
Yeah.
like, "I don't
Oh, that's
know."
nice. Well,
Yeah.
and yeah, I remember our first live. It was just one of these Rise Together ones, and we were just like, "Oh,
Yeah.
let's just do it casual talks just so you can," and I like to teach people, and that was the thing with Tevin too. I'm like, "Let me just show you the controls of the live, and it'll be,"
Yeah.
and I try to just make people feel comfortable, and that's
You
what the
did.
candidates.
Because here I am now. Yeah. Yeah. You set me on a whole trajectory, Walter.
Well, that's good, but I mean, and also too, all the help you're doing for these candidates, and it's like a couple votes, a couple donations to these campaigns in the early stages, and
Yeah.
and it's not just us, we're droplets, in this ocean of resistance, but it all
Mhm.
comes together. And now we're
Mhm.
seeing these progressive for the people candidates. We don't have to win all the elections. We just need to do enough of them to
Yeah.
bankrupt the corrupt forces because they waste
Mhm.
$60 million on a candidate that's unelectable. She's unelectable. Stick it to him.
Yeah,
She's got it
we
stuck
just
to you.
gotta we're gonna bring that enthusiasm, we're gonna do it the Michigan way.
You're from there. Yeah, yeah. You're losing
No,
like
I'm from
the
Michigan, and
growl.
I
Yeah.
saw that video and I went, "What the hell? We don't sound like that."
That's like Fargo, the movie Fargo in the way, "Oh, yeah, up from way up north, where they get all the snow." Yeah, it's like, "Yeah, we
Yeah,
don't."
if
Well,
anybody
we do
yeah,
kinda sound like
have you ever seen the movie, Escanaba and the Moonlight?
Oh, yeah, yeah, yep, yep, uh-huh.
Yeah.
Bookless,
So
bookless. Yeah.
yeah, so I lived in Escanaba for about 5 or 6 years before I got a divorce and everything, and before then, I grew up in Marquette, Michigan, and we
Ah,
don't talk like that. I thought Escanaba and the Moonlight was very over the top. I mean, I've got an uncle or 2 that do
yeah.
talk like that. They got the really thick UP accent,
Yeah.
but, not many people have that accent. I thought it was, "Yeah, you betcha, yeah."
Oh, have you seen Charlie Berens? Do you know who that is?
Mm-mm.
Oh, you don't know? He comes and lately he's this comedian. He does this. Oh, he does this. It's called the Manitowoc Minute, and he always says, "It go Packers and fuck the Bears." He talks like that, and he does. But lately he's like, "Oh, up north, what, you got a pocket knife on you?" He does
Yeah.
this thing where he's like a cop. He's like, "This is what it's like getting pulled over. This is what it's like getting pulled over by a cop in northern Wisconsin." He's like, "You got any
Mhm.
guns in the car?" "Yeah, I got a shotgun." "Oh, good for you. That's a good one." You got any knives?" He's like, "No." "Oh, here, everybody's got to have a knife." And like the police
Yeah.
officer's giving
Yeah.
the guy the knife, which is kind of true. That's the way. And lately, though, he's been active where he's been going around because he does like just the colloquial, resident of Wisconsin. He's like, these data centers,
Mhm.
he's doing it in this character. These data centers are really bad. You know what they're doing? And he's like, they're taking all our water. We need that for beer. How are we going to have good beer if their data centers are using up all the water? Which is sort of like,
Mhm.
that's an effective way to get this message across. So
Yeah.
you'll have
No,
to
it
look
is
him up. You'll
funny.
get a kick out of him. Mm.
I will. Yeah, no, I think it's funny anytime people like I was married to a man who his mother was cousins with Jimmy Decare, who was the owner of the Yoopers Tourist Trap and
Mm,
and the band, the Yoopers. So
I've
that's another
seen
thing.
them,
If
yeah.
anybody wants a good laugh, look up the band, the
Yeah.
Yoopers.
I remember. This is
Yeah.
no, a deer camp. Isn't that
Yeah, the
did they
second
do
week
the
of
30
deer
point
camp,
buck?
they
The
do.
30 point buck. Yeah. Look at nobody
Yeah,
knows.
yeah. I know. It's funny. It's a whole 'nother culture up there. It really is.
Mm,
But, I even, when I was going on my search for truth after I went no contact with my family, I went
yeah.
and, ordered I paid for all of my parents', divorce records and everything because I
Oh,
wanted to
yeah,
read
yeah, yeah.
everything. And in the divorce record, it showed that my dad testified that he had gotten pulled over for a DUI, because he was drunk, and he had gotten pulled over, and the cop just said, "Yeah, Tim, just give me your keys. I'll give them to you in the morning. You can walk home from here, huh?"
Oh,
My
boy.
dad, yeah, he
Yeah.
testified. That's like in black and white that a cop let my dad go for driving drunk.
Ah, this
It's a whole 'nother world up there, man. It's
this
crazy.
the story that used to go around, there was this guy, I can't remember his name, but he was famous for always sticking it to the cops, and he was walking by the story was he was walking by the highway, like, in deer season with his hunting rifle, and you're not supposed to have it loaded when you're right on the
Yeah.
road, and, like, the police officer just came, he's like, "Is that gun loaded?" He, like, turns and goes, "Click." He points it Yeah.
Yeah. Oh my god, I can't
Don't
even
do that, people.
imagine.
Yeah.
Yeah, don't do that.
Oh,
Don't do
man, the
that.
place where I'm from too. I'll have to send you, like I like what you said, though, like, the go no contact and go on the quest for truth because 'cause I've been on that quest
Yeah.
too. Is that what the topic in your
Yeah.
book is, or
So, well, no, I mean, it's called Good Mothers Don't Leave. So, this was something where I had been told, like women are born to suffer. Little girls are here to
Yeah,
serve the needs of the men, and this is why we have the stereotypical boy mom where they protect sons. I think there was just a kid in Oklahoma that just brutally raped a girl, and she had to have surgery on her neck because he raped her so horribly, and he got off. And right behind him was his boy mom, protecting him because the parents knew the judge and all that kind of crap.
yeah,
So yeah, it creates such a dangerous environment for girls and for women, and, I grew up in that environment. I grew up in, like, my mom protected my brothers, and she just gave me the shaft. Like, I never grew up thinking that my parents loved me. Like, I didn't have that feeling like, "Oh, my mom and dad love me." I never had that feeling. I always felt like a burden to my parents, and everything I did was, under scrutiny and criticized. And I would make a mistake as a little girl and
yeah,
I'd be called dumb and stupid. And what are you fucking stupid? And it's
yeah,
like, no, I'm actually just 7 and I've only literally been on this
yeah,
earth for 7 years. I don't know, you
yeah,
know? But then
and
when I was, abused as well, and I went to go tell my mom about it, my mom just was completely dismissive. So
yeah,
it's just kinda, like, "Well, what did you do?" And it's like, it doesn't even fucking matter, even
yeah,
if I did come on to this person, that was a grown up.
yeah,
But
and
anyway, that's,
well,
but
no, this is important to talk about, and we are still because it's gonna take a lot to change this. I mean, this isn't
yeah.
something that gets changed in one election. This whole culture of rape, it's this rape culture, and it requires platforms like ours and conversations like ours. And the other day when I was talking with Will and Fred, it's like growing up in a rural area. It's like
Mhm.
the number of fathers in rural area who rape their daughters is
Yeah,
tens of millions, and it's pretty equivalent.
yeah,
This is why we get a rapist in the White House. And people are
yeah.
like, "Oh, it's this pastoral community. Look at how nice it is." It's like and I've
Mhm.
written a couple articles about how horrific. I mean, kids are getting fed into balers, like
Mhm.
on farming. They have kids that are 9 running tractors who get run over.
Yeah.
And it's
Yeah.
still to these days, in rural areas, a lot of kids die in these accidents because they're operating equipment they shouldn't be running.
Mhm.
And we're not allowed, we don't treat children as human beings. And it's going to
Mhm.
require platforms like yours and mine. Because a year ago, we couldn't have even said what I just said. Like, there
Yep.
wouldn't have been people that would have listened to it. Now people are
Yep.
fed up because we see the structure of corruption. We're seeing the tip of the iceberg. We have to melt the whole thing all the way down to the base. It's all gonna go.
Mhm.
And supporting
No,
us and
you're
having
right.
these conversations is how.
Yeah, no, you're right. I just, I think that, there's a lot of women are starting to realize because we're comparing notes now, and we're starting to realize
Yeah,
that we all have the same story. For the longest time, Walter, I thought I was alone on an island. I thought that doesn't really happen very often, and it's not something that we can talk about. There isn't really a lot of support out there.
yeah.
And then just talking about
It's
it,
the baseline, it's
it
not the
takes
exception.
years. Yeah, it takes years for a victim or a rape survivor. I don't like calling them victims. I don't like calling us
Yeah.
victims. I like saying rape
Yep,
survivors
yep.
because it is something that we absolutely survived.
Mhm.
But it takes a rape survivor years, sometimes
Yeah,
decades, to actually get the full story out because trauma, for one, will mess up the memory. You'll get bits and pieces. And then as time goes on, you start to kind of put those bits and pieces together, just by having conversation. But two, it's also because, it's like being re-raped every time you open
mhm,
your mouth and tell the story. And then when somebody denies it, it's re-traumatizing you all over again.
mhm.
And I had everybody around me denying it. Everybody,
Mm.
everybody. I had friends, I had family, I had
Yeah,
everybody, anytime I ever tried to even kind of speak up about it, it was just, they denied it and, let's not talk about it. Or I would get support and I would get, like somebody would come in and hug me and embrace me. And then that's where it ended.
yeah,
It wasn't, we'll support you. Like my abuser is still out there.
yep,
He's
yep,
still out there. He's got a wife and kids and, and I just, knowing that, um, I have feelings about it, but I'm not really sure how to express those feelings still.
yeah,
I just turned 44 yesterday, and this happened when I was 8, 9, and 10,
yeah,
and knowing that he's out there living a life and, he has kids of his own,
yeah,
just really I have feelings about it, but I'm not really sure
yeah,
still what to do about it. Do I, statute of limitations is another thing.
mhm.
Women are only given a certain amount of time, after 20 years, it's like the rape never happened.
Yeah,
But it's like that's not for the woman, when a rape happens, it happens for the rest of her life. It doesn't go
yeah.
away.
You know, well, yeah, sorry for all those talks, and I wanna continue to talk about it. I mean, it's a tough situation. I don't wanna sound like the things I'm saying are flippant because it's like we can't really address that horror, but I'll
Right.
just compare it. It's like the horror of this year when we, we saw what got elected. It's like we
Mhm.
can sit around and be overwhelmed, and I'm just like, "I'm gonna take these fears and my frustration, and I'm gonna elevate good people." And I think that
Yeah.
positive activism, it's like even though I'm not directly going after the thing that was inflicted against me, we're taking our rage and using it to do positive, and we can help the forward, we can help the next generation of kids.
Yeah.
And that and the things that I've
Well, and we didn't
overcome.
have language either. When I was a kid,
Oh,
I didn't have
jeez.
language for that kind of stuff. So instead of saying, "Hey, this person is doing, what he was doing," and like getting detailed about it, I would
Yep.
just say, "I don't like that person. That person makes me feel sad."
Yeah.
And then, my parents would look at me and they're just like, "Oh, you're just being dramatic." And because I
Yeah.
didn't have the language. Like my kids now have the language. They know exactly what rape is. That for
Yeah.
both. My boys know what it is. Like if a woman were to take advantage of them, and my girls know the same thing if a man were to take advantage of them. They know exactly what it is. They know exactly how, like,
Mhm.
because there's different ways to rape. It's
Yep.
not just always penetration. There's other ways that they can be
Yep.
raped. So they know it all. And it's
Yep.
funny because, like, even my 9-year-old the other day, I was like, "Hey, Tynan, what do we do if people touch you in a place that you're not supposed to, like your private areas?" And he's like, "Kick him in the balls,
Yeah.
mom."
Oh. Yeah,
Yeah.
and the
So,
culture is such though that if you had even brought it up and said this happened, you
mhm,
were more likely to get punished
right.
than any response that way.
Yeah, you're hurting the family,
Yeah, and just the amount
yeah.
too, like, and I've had to deal with this, as an abusive father, how that just figure he will not address these things that he did wrong. He's got his identity, this mythology about
Mhm.
himself, about who he is, um, that if he faces these truths, that whole thing crumbles. We see that with the
Yeah.
president too. And just I
Yeah.
call it the ingenuity of the corrupt, where they will defend that self-identity to the death. They will burn the whole
Yep.
world down before they will face that lie that they keep telling about themselves.
Yep.
And that's why, I separate. Oh, that creates this visible distance.
Mhm.
Somebody's like, naturally, I was like, why don't you talk to your son anymore? Well, and then he has to, this is a threat now to his self identity. And I'm sure
Yep.
this person you were talking about, they've compartmentalized it. They've formed a cyst around it. It's in their brain, but
Mhm.
they've justified it to themselves. And it's
Yeah.
like, but it's like it comes up with this Lindsey Graham bullshit. It's like that was an evil
Mhm.
man, and the same thing. It's like the Democrats, well, actually, let's have decorum. And it's like bullshit. Quit having disrespect for the people that
Yeah.
survived his abuses because you are now raping them. You are part of
Mhm.
that. If you're saying good things about this person, if you're complicit in this code of silence. So I think that comes around. Just us speaking about these things is probably the best thing.
Oh, yeah. It absolutely is. It's the only thing we can do. At this point, we've done I feel like, we've tried to do everything else. The only thing that we haven't done is spoke up. We need
Mm.
to we need to end the
Oh my
silence because
goodness. Yep.
silence is complicity. And every single time we're silent, it doesn't help us, it helps the abusers. We're literally protecting abusers by staying silent.
Yep. And we're
So
break
I refuse.
Yep. And all that indoctrination we get, and we're breaking through it because prior to this
Yeah.
election, it's always been, well, you shouldn't talk about politics here. And it's to the point, it's just pervasive. Because I'll bring it up.
Yeah.
Every time I see somebody, I'm just talking politics now. And I'll have people like, shh, come on now. They start getting nervous. I'm like, I want to see where this person stands. And it's like, well,
Yeah.
this is a socially accepted thing. And it's like, I'm changing that. I'm changing that
Mhm.
culture because that puts us here where child
Yeah.
rapists are elevated to the highest office of the land and they're allowed to go free. So we're going to
Yeah.
change that. We're burning it all down. And
Yeah.
we're seeing good people run for office now. And we're seeing
Mhm.
good people like you interviewing them and giving them a platform. And this whole system, yeah, it's just got to change. And we're also seeing the establishment freak out because they don't know what to do because all they've ever had to do in the past is throw
Gloriously.
money at it. And they
Mhm.
control the entire government and they control the entire media and they control all the money. And somehow they're still losing, because they
Yeah.
don't control all of us and they never will.
Yeah, because money is more important to them. Money is more important to them than humanity. And yes, the Democratic Party is supposed to be the party of the people and the party of empathy and all that kind of stuff. But we've changed. The Democratic Party has changed. And that's why I kind of, I voted Democrat my entire life. And this is why I've moved away from it and I've gone to the DSA activist organization because DSA is not a political party, it's an activist organization. They just support Democratic candidates because we have a two-party system.
Yeah.
That's just it.
Strategy.
Like we need to face it that we have a two-party system. We don't have we don't have parliament. We don't have people
Yeah.
representing from all over. It's just a two-party system. So we have to figure out how we can navigate through those two-party systems. And, I don't support the establishment because of the fact that I recognize through their actions, not mine, through their actions that they only care about money. Because
Mhm.
anytime they want
Yeah.
something, they're just like, well, everybody's got a price.
Mhm.
We'll throw some money here, we'll throw some money there. And what happens when people can't be bought anymore? What happens when
Yeah.
they've completely broken trust and they've completely broken the spirit of humanity? Where we're finally like, okay, we're going to do our own thing now.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's where we're at.
And just breaking through with our rhetoric, because I've been saying, because like they complain about socialism, but every single politician takes state-funded healthcare. It's like
Mhm.
socialism's bad, except when it applies right to them. And we're seeing guys like El
Yeah.
Sayed, who's actually coming out and having those comments. But I did my article the other day, a bird with two right wings.
Mhm.
And
Yeah.
it's like you're choosing between genocide at home or genocide abroad.
Yeah.
That's what our
Yeah.
political parties stand for. And it's like
Mhm.
at this point too, the only way that they've been losing is because they've abdicated the arguments that could win. It's like, how do you
Yeah.
lose against these reprehensible people? Paxton
Yeah.
in Texas, the fact that they're attacking DSA candidates, with their proposals. Well, let's feed kids at schools, and you got this just monstrous candidate, this criminal, just corrupt, just repugnant. sorry
Yeah.
excuse for a person to give power to, like, you don't wanna
Yeah.
trust that guy to be in the room with your kids, much less have power.
Mhm.
That applies to the entire Republican Party and about half the Democrats. So that's what
Yeah.
we're up against. It's a big hill to climb, but we're not gonna quit. We're not gonna
Yeah, but I
bend our
mean,
knee.
but that's what white supremacy is, though. White
Yeah, yeah.
supremacy, I mean, they literally use rape culture to enforce
Yes,
their white supremacist
yes.
ideologies.
Yep,
And, that's why you got Paxton protecting pedophiles, you know?
yep.
That's why we've got a pedophile rapist sitting in the White House right now. That's why you're seeing all these MAGA Republican pastors
Ah,
finally getting their comeuppance
we gotta get them.
because it's
Yep,
we now have the language for it. We're now talking about it. We're now comparing notes, and we've now finally gotten to a point where we've had enough.
yeah.
And yes, like it's not going to happen all at once. And I think people get really frustrated because they want like
Mm.
they think that just because it's in their head and that now that they see the light, everybody
Yeah,
should see the light. I was one of those. I was just like, how can you not see this?
yeah,
But
yeah.
then you realize that the wheel of change is just, it's very slow. And the fact that it's changing, though, is what we should
Yeah.
be excited about and what we should be hopeful for.
Yes.
Because, when things stop changing and things just start to
Yes.
become a status quo, like rape culture was for a long time,
Yes.
that's when we have a problem. But it's not. There's people being held accountable every single day in every single
Yes.
state.
Yes. And more, and I always like to emphasize too, it's like you see the extreme corruption of the right, but that soft corruption of the center, and it's guys like Adam Kinzinger who are like, "Oh, everything is actually kind of okay," and he's more
Yeah.
inclined to say, "Look at these extreme ideas on the left," than he is to talk about these things we're talking
Fuck
about.
Adam Kinzinger. I'm
Yeah.
so over that guy. I wish he would just like go away from politics. Doesn't he have a hobby? Can't
Oh
you just
god.
like
Yeah.
go do
I
your
saw he had
hobby
some
and just
fancy
get out of
background
here?
too, like, I'm like a real newsman now," and it's just sort
No,
of
of
like,
course he does. He's a millionaire and people are
yeah.
still throwing their money at him.
Yeah. But I mean,
I'm
when
so
people
over
start,
it, Walter.
yeah, oh, I am too, but it's like, it's always when a person comes to you and says, "There's this atrocity that's gone on, it's a big job to fix it," and then somebody
Yeah.
comes along and it's like, "Actually, is it that bad?" And there's always
Mhm.
that temptation, to be like, well, maybe it's not as bad as this person says. And that's the thing that we have to overcome. And it just
Mhm.
that message, and it's like, if it's an extreme situation, you're like, okay, I would never forgive, so I would never do that. But if it's this other things where they're just like, are you really? I'm just trying to have a conversation about, I'm just being realistic about who can get elected. When they say things like that, that is
So
just
am
as
I.
much supporting rape culture. I'm
Yeah.
practical. Walter, you're the one who's being extreme. I mean, you're the one who's going to divide the party. They say this to me. So then it becomes
Yeah.
these
They
accusations
say
and
that to
things
me
against me.
too.
Yeah.
I'm being divisive. I'm like,
Yeah.
well, you know what? My reality and your reality are two different ones. And
Yeah.
I'm going to stay in my reality because I don't think my reality is extreme. I think
I
my reality is um should be normalized. Like
Yeah.
rape is bad. Rape
Yeah.
rape should be punished.
Yeah. Oh, and then they cut you off. We saw that wonderful
Mhm.
guy in Florida who said it on Fox News, and he just kept talking. We're like, "All right, all right, all right." And they
Who's
did you
that?
not know what I'm talking about?
No, what guy in Florida?
There was this candidate running in Florida, and he got on Fox News, and they're, like, talking about the Laken Riley Act.
Oh, yeah, 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 yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Okay. Yeah.
And then so we just have to keep pushing through and saying that. I saw my friend Peter was on here, about the Fox News thing when they brought
Yeah.
it and hit me on Fox News, and I'm just like, I was talking about that with Chris Resist too. It's like, say this to my face, and I think I'll say to them, it's like, "You guys have the demeanor of child rapists, the way you move, the
Yeah.
mannerisms of child rapists. We need to start
Mhm.
saying it. It's like, I know what that looks like. You guys
Mhm.
look like those assholes." And we gotta
Mhm.
start putting them on their heels because it's actually still considered, because of this corrupt system, it's considered a breach of decorum for
Yeah.
us to take our lived experience and make statements like that. And that's what needs to
Yeah.
change because we have to listen to the people that have survived this bullshit because I don't
Mhm.
wanna see other kids have to be put through that. That's
Yeah,
really
and
what it
keep
comes down
people
to.
like Megyn Kelly off,
Oh
like people
god.
watch Megyn Kelly and she's sitting there saying, you know, having sex with a 15-year-old isn't the
Ugh.
same as having sex. And it's like, oh my God. You know
Yeah.
what? My daughter right now is 17. And if a grown man even looks her way, I stand in between them and I'm just like, the fuck are you doing?
Yeah.
Get your eyes off my daughter. She's a minor.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, but even 18, like I was engaged when I was 17. I got married 6 days after I turned 18. I had a baby 10 months later. And I look back on that and I think to myself all the time, I had no business
Yeah.
getting married. I had no business having a baby at that age. And it's crazy because people at my wedding, I had a pretty big wedding because I have like an Italian step family, which is huge. And then I married into another Italian family, which were huge. I mean, everybody, cousins galore. And, I had almost 400 people at my wedding reception, and I heard so many people taking bets. How long do you think this one's gonna last? They're pretty young. How long are they? And
Yeah.
at first I was so like offended, like, how dare you come to my wedding
Yeah.
and start taking bets. But they were right because we only lasted 5
Yeah.
years.
Yeah. But
So it's like they were
why
right.
couldn't they have talked prior to that? PJ mentioned too the
Why did they
candidate.
encourage having
Yes.
why did they encourage me getting married, Like, why did they everybody was so happy for
Oh,
me when I was engaged, and then I get married and they're taking bets on when my marriage is gonna fail.
I want to say PJ said Oliver Larkin. That was the name of the candidate in Florida. The candidate
Yeah,
Fox Oliver Larkin. So go vote for him. Did you watch the movie Midsummer? Did you see this?
I didn't, but I saw the play.
Oh well, I wonder if it's okay. There's a couple names, but there's that. It's Ari Aster does this kind of horror film where they take these college kids to like this cult in Finland. And
Yeah.
in watching that film, this isn't like what it depicted for me when I was watching it is how our whole wedding ceremony is. It kind of
Oh,
goes
never
back
mind,
to
not
the
that
age.
Midsummer.
Yeah, it would have been. Yeah, it would have been a different one.
Yeah,
So it goes, yeah, with an O. But
yeah.
our whole wedding ceremony, and I was at a wedding recently, and it kind of was reinforced again. I mean, you were gonna die in childbirth. I mean, there was a good
Mhm,
chance. And you watch how this it's like, oh, the bride, it's like she's dressed kind of as an angel. It's like the community is coming out to say goodbye. It's like a funeral, really. A wedding
yeah,
is of the bride because she's likely to
mhm,
die in childbirth. And just like
mhm.
these things endure.
And
It's
how the fathers have to give their daughters
ah,
away, like, we have no
yes.
ownership of our own body.
Yeah,
Yeah,
but it's
yeah,
definitely a death as if, "Oh, we're making this sacrifice," and that's kinda clear, even to the point of, "We're gonna dance, everybody's gonna get drunk. Now consummate the and that's the death sentence. "Oh, take her off
mhm,
and consummate because 'cause you're drunk and you're like, "Oh, this is this big thing." But like you were saying before, a person who's young, you're like you could have been 15 and getting married, and you're like, "Oh, I'm
mhm,
delighted to be the center of attention. This is so wonderful." And so you're not paying
mhm.
attention to the fact you're so intoxicated by this affection you're being shown. You're not noticing that you are the sacrifice of this
Yep,
ceremony. You are about to be sacrificed. And I
yep.
think, yeah,
I
another thing that
remember a
occurred.
girl that I graduated from high school with that was 15, and she was married. She was pregnant, and she got married to her, like, 19-year-old boyfriend in
Yeah.
high school. Her whole high school, freshman, sophomore, junior, senior, she was married.
And well, and so much of our society, and I've been reflecting on this too, because the older I get, and you see, you get into positions like as a teacher, in your classroom, and you recognize that authority you have, and that even if people are rebellious kids, you still can influence how they think about things. And I remember
Yeah.
the first time I had this sense, I was out skiing and it was at this park where all these trails kind of loop, so it's easy to get lost. And I came across, I think it was like two young boys. They were maybe like 8, and they're like, "Sir, could you tell us how to get back?" And I just was kinda startled, I felt so fearful for them just because of this
Mhm.
innocence, and I don't think I'd had that quite before where it's like they were just trusting everything to me.
Yeah.
And I was like, this struck me as this extreme responsibility. But there's so many men that are insignificant men without merit. And that
Mhm.
moment of having boy or girl present them, like, all the trust in the world. We see MAGA be so overcome by, this authority because they are essentially worthless. I take it as a responsibility, when it's my
Yeah.
kids. I do what I can to give them more power. We see people that deliberately suppress the power of others because they are so intoxicated, and this is the only time they feel important. And it all comes down
Mhm.
to that lying. If you're 30 and you're lying to an 18-year-old woman about the benefit of marriage, that is an atrocity, what you have just committed. That betrayal of your position as a respectable, as an adult, and just
Mhm.
like that expansive time. Like, the older I get, the more I find people just turning to me and listening to what I have to say, and I'm just like, I gotta tell you the things that are gonna help. And it's just also understanding such a massive part of our population will deliberately mislead you. Guys like fucking Adam Kinzinger and Joe Walsh and the fucking Bulwark and Midas Touch and all those fucking people, they're misleading you deliberately,
Mhm.
and they're very
Yep.
charismatic about it, but they do not take their responsibility serious.
Yeah, no, and that's why I speak out against white women behavior and how they
Ah,
uphold patriarchy because it's so harmful.
man.
It is so fucking harmful. And I'm living proof how harmful it is. The things that I went through as a child and the things that I went through even as a young adult, like when I was going through my divorce and stuff. And, just the fact that my son and I were having a conversation yesterday, and he's 25 now, and he tells me a lot of, he fills in a lot of the lines that I wasn't privy to, and the things that happened behind closed doors.
Ah,
And there was a moment where when I lived in Texas, he lived with his dad, but then his dad didn't want to take care of him either, so he ended up wanting to go and live with my mom despite me saying, why don't you just move to Texas? But he didn't want to move to Texas, and I get it. Who the fuck wants to move? Who wants to move here? So like, he didn't wanna move to Texas, and he was with my parents, and he was telling me how, like, my stepdad would make his lunches every single day for school, his last, whatever for school, and, my mom would always, like, make sure he was okay and give hugs and, talk to him and everything. I'm like, "Damn, my parents did none of that." I was like,
yeah,
I said, "Sam, you know what's crazy?" I was like, this is how deep the smear campaign went with my family and how much I just felt like my family just fucking hated me. Probably because I knew all their secrets and they
yeah,
just wanted to keep me
yeah, that
silent. So,
that
yeah.
actually it, yeah, yeah.
Which is side note, I was talking to a cousin of mine who's in his 50s, and he had no idea that our uncle was on a sex offender registry in Wisconsin.
Yeah,
And I sent him the mugshot, and he was just like, "Is that really him?" I'm like, "Yeah, it's really him. You can look it up yourself." And he had no idea.
yeah.
But then I get why my family doesn't like me because I'm just like, "Hey, I got mugshots. I got receipts. I got this.
Show
I
up with
got
a T-shirt. Here's your mugshot. Happy Thanksgiving. Yeah.
yeah." But it was crazy because I'm listening to my son talk and he's telling me all these wonderful things and how wonderful my parents are and how great they were to
Yeah.
him. And I'm just going, yeah, yeah, I was like, I didn't get any of that shit. There was many days where I went days without eating because my mom didn't
Yeah.
care to have lunch food in the house. She didn't have any dinner in the house. And if I didn't have any money to go get my own stuff, this is why I started working at 15 because I needed to fucking eat.
Yeah.
Like I had to eat lunch and I had to eat dinner. And there was a lot of times that my parents, my mom cooked maybe once or twice a week. And
Yeah.
then I was on my own to figure it out, as a young kid. And so, yeah, I don't know. The way that they treated my son was a completely different experience of how they treated me, especially my stepdad. My stepdad loathed me.
Oh, well, and I just wanted to add too, that's all part of this structure where they treat you like shit, like shit, like
Yeah.
shit, and then it's like somebody else, it threatens
Yeah.
their
Treat you like
identity.
shit, but give me loyalty.
Well, but then also they turn around and they can turn on the charm,
Yeah.
and then so it's like if it's your kid. So, like, your own parent treats you like shit, and then when it comes to your kid, if they wanna divide you from your kid,
What
they
they
give
do?
all this stuff, and then this is why my dad has never met, my daughters. I'm like,
Yeah.
I'm not gonna allow you to wedge, and it's like because being a parent is not easy. It's a
Mhm.
joy, it's a privilege, it's a responsibility. I love doing it, it's also very difficult, and there are
Mhm.
times when it's like this behavior has my kids actually I haven't had to correct behavior that much, but I also haven't had somebody come along and be like, "Oh, here's $1,000 for nothing," you know?
Yeah.
It's like, and it's like if that interrupts that disruption of reality where they're like, no, the reason your father is a bad man because he could be giving you all this money all the time. It's like that's
Yeah.
not reality. The reality isn't like that. But it's like it's hard if you're 13, if somebody's
Mhm.
like showering you with expensive gifts to
Yeah.
recognize that this is false. Some part of
Oh,
you
my
will know.
younger 2. Yeah, my younger 2, they one of their biggest arguments to me was like, "You need to apologize to grandma. You need to apologize to them,
Yeah,
and, they're good people. They're really good people." And I'm like,
yeah,
"They were good people to them." And that's the thing is like, how do you break
yeah.
through that, like 2 things can be true at once? Like, yes, my parents were good people to my kids, but they were fucking terrible to me, and I hate them.
Well, and I mean, this is another shade of the exploitation of
Yeah.
minors, because if
Yep.
they're using your kids to kinda cast shade, they're trying to divide
Yeah.
you, they're telling them lies to make you look bad. I mean,
Yeah.
that's no different to as far as I'm concerned as any other form of abuse, because you 'cause
Mhm.
you're depriving those children of having a solid footing where they're
Yep.
able to build themselves up because they see how things work. And these
Mhm.
abusive people, they always present themselves as the solution to all your problems, to make you
Yep.
dependent on them, to stop you from developing the skills you need to do these things yourself. And, as I was talking about this, I've got a talk coming up with Andrew Watkins, I think it's next week, where people get into their end of life. And a lot of it is they want to just break you down because they expect you to be their caregiver when you get old. That's their plan in
Yeah.
life. And my plan in life is to build my kids up as powerful as possible, and if at some point they never wanna talk to me, I just accept that. That's fine, It's just like,
Yeah.
just give everything I can to them, that's fine, and people just don't make that shift, and it's really tragic because a lot of these abusive people, it's because they're so terrified of being alone, and they
Well,
make
they
that
have
inevitable.
unhealthy attachment issues,
Yeah,
like
yeah,
my mom was kind of, I don't know, she was typical patriarchal white woman where she was codependent on a man. So the man was always held at a higher regard than the children. The man
yeah.
always came before the children.
Oh god, yeah, yeah,
So, it's just kind of these unhealthy attachment issues. And we have to just, this is why I always encourage women to like love themselves. Like
yeah,
self love is the best form of love. Like you have to love yourself. You don't get on a plane and,
yeah,
when the
yeah,
pilot
the
says
masks,
when the mask comes down, doesn't say, give it to the other person. They want you to do it for yourself first. So then you can help other people. You
yeah,
have to love yourself first before you can even love your own child. And that's a lesson that I had to learn too, because growing up in
yeah,
patriarchy, I
yeah,
had a lot of the same bullshit traits that my mom did. I had a lot of the same
yeah,
behaviors
yeah,
at first
yeah,
because I was trying to be this perfect little wife at 18 years old that didn't know shit about shit.
yeah,
And then I learned, and
yes.
I learned just how harmful and how wrong it was, and how even I put my own children in danger for holding those values,
Yeah, yeah.
you know?
When I went to Peru, it was the same thing. They emphasized, "Take care of yourself first, second, and third." And it was hard
Hmm.
for me to overcome because I was committed to being a good person, and it's like
Yeah.
being selfish means you're not. So it's like, always put other people first. So it's really hard for me to understand that the key to being and that's a trick. I mean, that's this whole
Hmm.
religious mechanism, this whole patriarchal mechanism, this whole you're suffering as a consequence of your sinfulness, all
But
this
self-love
bullshit.
is not selfish. Like, those are
Right?
2 different
But
things, you
that's
know?
so and it's like in sitting here talking about it, it seems easy, but it took me a year probably.
Yeah.
It took me a year to like really because I was like, okay, I'll try it, but I don't really believe it. And you're just working through in your mind, it's like it does make sense. Like if I die because I'm trying to put the air mask on the kid and I don't get it on the kid and I'm dead, then we're both dead. If I just
Right.
take a second, put it on me and I put it on them, that's the way to go. That's not
Yep.
selfishness. So you have to recalibrate your understanding of what it is to be selfish or altruistic. And yeah, that it's a form of abuse to think you always have to put other people first. You do
Mhm.
have to put and it's like, what was it? My uncle would always say, he's like, "Well, if you're being altruistic for the sake of some greater reward, isn't that selfish?" And it's like kind of those kind of arguments that are just
Mm.
designed to get you to spin your wheels.
Yeah.
And it's like, yeah, you just dismiss it as ridiculous. Oh, there's Jack. I always love to see Jack in the chat.
Mhm.
Just got here, so we're probably not gonna be that much longer. But
Yeah.
this has been just such a lovely talk.
Yeah, no, self-love. I mean, like, and the natural thing, what happens is when you have so much self-love for yourself, that's how you learn empathy. That's how your brain wires for it. That's
Yeah.
how, like, because you know that if you could never treat yourself this way, you can't treat other people that way.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
when I started finally realizing that I hated myself, because I did, when I finally went no contact, it was at the point where I felt so low. And I was like, why do I feel this low when I feel like they're doing all this to
Yeah.
me?
Yeah.
And the reason why they were doing all this to me is because I just allowed it. I didn't stand up for myself. I didn't speak up. I didn't, you know, put my
Oh,
foot down
yeah.
and say, "No, you can't you're not allowed to do this to me. I love myself enough to where you're not allowed to treat me this way. You're not allowed to do this." I had
Yeah.
no boundaries.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then all this stuff was happening and I was just like, "Oh, they're doing this to me. They're doing this to me." And I was like, "Wait a minute. I need to reset. Why are they doing this to me?
Yeah.
Why am I
Yeah.
not standing up for myself? Why am I not loving myself enough to say, hey, you're not allowed to do this kind of thing, these kind of things to me. You're not allowed to harm my children. You're not allowed to harm me or to harm my children, to harm me." Because that's what it essentially
Yeah.
was. Like, they
Oh,
were
man. Yeah.
causing that divide, um, using my children to hurt me
Yep.
is what they were
Yep.
doing. And it worked because I had no boundaries. I had no self-love. So,
Yep.
once I learned that self-love, then I was just like nothing. I don't know. I feel untouchable now because I'm just like, give me your worst, motherfuckers.
Yeah. Well, but they can find those triggers too, and I have to be careful. But it's like what you were saying, because I had a situation like you. I just left the country. I went no contact, and it was. I mean, I didn't have kids, so it was easier for me, and it's still. So I and talking with you and Natasha, just like it's so much harder what
Yeah.
women have to go through to get to this point with the burdens that are just deliberately stacked against them where they entrap you. And it's
Yeah.
just but I managed to get away. I got to Peru and then it takes those years and years. And exactly as you say, they rely on all the structures of our traditions to just draw you back in. Because I've had so many people, well, you're being mean. Your grandparents have a right to this. And I would be like, it's like you're making those assumptions. You've not asked one thing about me. It's like you don't
Yeah.
know. It's like is that true if you had a father who sexually abused you, then you
Mhm.
let them have your kids? And
Mhm.
people then they get all mad. And again, it's just diversion after diversion after diversion to enable this structure of abuse. And it's just at every point in my life,
Yeah.
raising my kids, more and more pressure to do things this other way to contribute. And it's just like again and again and again, because that's so entrenched. That toxic river of culture is so entrenched. And it's
Yeah.
not, and this is the hard part, it's not all bad people that are supporting this. A lot of them are
Mhm.
just head in the sand where they just
Mhm.
don't want to be bothered to hear about these hard topics. And so then they just casually, well, it'd be nice to have a Christmas with your family. It's like, yeah, it fucking would if they weren't like evil bastards who are trying to like undo everything. And then they get like, ha ha ha. And a lot of this is
Mhm.
like, it's funny. A lot of my whole life, I'm comic because you're talking about horrific things in a way. Whoops. Otherwise, you're unable to. I
Well, I
just got
mean,
excited and pulled up my.
it's better to laugh than to cry, though. I mean, I've spent a lot of years crying and feeling
Oh,
bad
yeah.
and feeling sorry, and I've just gotten to the point now where I'm like,
Yeah.
okay.
But and then I had one though where like a member of my family tried to reconnect. And I was I was thinking, okay, I'm rock solid now. I can handle this. But they know they can trot out those things
Mhm.
and they misrepresent things that happened in the past. And they always present it as, well, this demonstrates a fundamental flaw in who you are. And that's always
Mhm.
their conclusion. You have to accept this fundamental flaw about yourself. That's the
Mhm.
responsible thing. Otherwise, you're going to pass that fundamental flaw down to your kids and it's just like that
Mm.
because as responsible people, we're afraid of that, right? We're afraid of,
Yeah.
oh, am I doing things wrong? And so it's like but that whole argument is false. That's designed there. And the reason they're so good at these arguments is because exactly as you said, they're the ones full of self-loathing. Every
Mhm.
accusation is a confession. Everything they do in life is to hide their crimes and to protect the self-image of themselves. And in
Mhm.
order to do that, they have to bring everybody else down.
Yep.
They're fucking good at it. Yeah.
Yep.
So cut them
And
off.
that's another thing that I think that, we've got this male loneliness epidemic going on and, this kind of anytime I anytime I just made a posting the other day and there's a man that's in my comments right now that is,
Oh, God.
trying to blame women
Yeah.
for, not being good partners and things like that. And I'm like, well, I get like there
Yeah.
two things can be true at the same time. But he's not doing any self-reflection. He's just pointing the finger and blaming. And I was like, listen, this is a space for women, women supporting women, women talking about the things that they are finally coming to realizations on.
Yeah.
And the fact that we've had a boot on our neck by men
Mhm.
our entire existence. And now we're finally taking that boot off and we're calling a spade a spade.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
if men can't handle that argument, then that seems like it's a good opportunity for them to start self-reflecting because why can't you have like this is the
Ooh.
truth. The truth
Yeah.
is the truth.
Yep.
And the fact of the matter is that women have had a boot on their neck and we're finally starting to take that boot off and we're saying, "Hey, did you have a boot
Yep.
on your neck too? Hey, how did that make you feel?" I think it was the post was the red flag, you're not like other girls.
Oh, yeah.
And
Yeah.
what that is, like what that psychologically does to a woman
Yeah. I
and
talked
what
about that with my girls the other day and
yeah.
mentioned you.
Yeah.
Well, they gotta know it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they do. I mean, like girls, we have to know this language because patterns are patterns. They don't change. And this is, abusers use these patterns. Adam Mockler just posted a
Oh, that was
picture
awful. Yeah.
of
Yeah.
him, pretending to throw his girlfriend in the lake or in the ocean, wherever the fuck he
Yeah.
is.
Why?
And,
Why?
and thinks it's funny. And it's like, listen, that kind of stuff seems like an innocent joke, but abusers use those things to kind of minimize actual abuse. Like,
Yep.
I was just joking.
To see how much you'll get away with.
Yeah.
That came up in a live the other day where I was talking with Brandon and the Sturge, and they were just like, if somebody had written in and said, I was sitting down with this person I like, and I had my glasses on. He says, I'm kind of I'm not really like people with glasses. And they're just like, well, how do you respond? I said, you get up and leave. I mean, that is
Mhm.
exactly just pushing boundaries, see what you'll put up with. If they are blatantly and openly disrespectful like that, and you want to justify it yourself, like that's actually kind of minor. Nope.
Yeah.
And that's exactly what they do. They start out with something like that. They get it worse. They get it worse. As you're talking too, I reflect a lot on my own life, where it's like when you're 13 or 14, and it's like most of what I knew about like relationships came from books. This is what I read, and it's like,
Mhm.
oh, great. And I used to think I liked fantasy, but I like the forming a team and people like taking care of each other. That's what appealed to me about these.
Yeah.
And it's just like here's this a model for like a healthier relationships like I'm not seeing in real life. But even so, if you're in the United States, when you're 15 or whatever, you start dating somebody else who's 15, and both you and the person you're dating are going to follow, like, oh, well, we saw Grease. I guess that's and that's toxic as shit.
Yeah.
And it's like, if there are no models, so we got to have a little grace with everybody too. I mean, people,
Mhm.
I'm saying this for the people because it seems like the good people always sit there and say, oh, no, he's talking about me. And I did. It's like, if you're worried that maybe it's you, it's probably not, because like the evil
Mhm.
people are like, oh yeah, other people are always bad. And so when we
Mhm.
take it upon ourselves, but I've had times too when I've tracked down women that I dated when I was younger and been like, I apologize. And a lot of them, because I've reflected on it, I've had a lot of like, I don't even know what you're talking about, which is
Yeah.
always nice, always nice to hear. But yeah, we don't have any models. I mean, look at who is in the Oval Office. Our kids, our boys are thinking that's normal behavior. They're seeing him
Mhm.
openly disrespect women every time he speaks and never
Mhm.
suffer any consequences from that. So it is so
Yeah,
critical to have
and
these
Joe
talks.
Rogan and
Oh,
all
I
it's not
fucking
even just the presidents. It's the president kind of emboldens these other people like Joe Rogans and,
yeah. And
the
when do you
Andrew
see Adam
Tates
Kinzinger
and
bring a woman on to talk about these issues? Never. Or Joe
because he
Walsh?
hates women.
Never.
Adam
Yes.
Kinzinger hates women. His voting record reflects it. Every single time there was a vote up for women's rights, especially abortion care or anything like that, he's always voted against us. Adam
Yeah.
Kinzinger hates women.
It
Stop listening to him. He
yes.
is a piece of shite.
Yes, and it's stunning to me, especially it's like I
Ugh.
understand when people have got, economic terrorism is real. We're all the focus of this. But when
Yeah.
people are like, Walter, I love what you do, but I can't support you. Okay. But then I click and they're like supporting Kinzinger and Midas Touch, and it's like, what the hell? Why? Why are you doing that? But
Yeah.
with women's rights, I want to mention. Well, we'll cut this off in a little bit, but this has been an important discussion.
I
Let's
know.
do it.
We
Let's
just
get it.
we
Let's get
talk
it
and
on
talk
tape.
and talk. I know.
Yeah, well, let's get it on tape when we need to. But we've got all these talks coming up. I've scheduled all these talks with Dr. Demetria Connor because we're kind of transitioning away. Our job is done promoting
Mhm.
primary candidates. The midterms are upon us. but now I'm talking with Erica on Saturday with Dr. Connor because she's a healthcare
Mhm.
lawyer. Dr. Erica Kopp is, and it's
Mhm.
just like we're going to advocate for women now. And what's
Mhm.
coming is big. I know you and I have. I think we have 2 scheduled, and then we're talking with Zilfina. Is that on Monday or Tuesday?
Yep.
Just to
Zofina's
bring her
on
into this
Monday.
conversation.
Yep.
Well,
And then
because the
Dr.
reality
Connor is
is,
the 19th and the 25th.
because it's bigger than just universal health care.
Yep.
We got to talk about the fact that the Republicans are murdering our women and kids. They are murdering them. And some of
Yep.
the stuff that's coming up with the programs they've dismantled, how I think I got to double check this stat, but I think Dr. Connors said that 2 out of every 3 counties do not have an OBGYN, like, in the country. That's how
Yeah, that's
few.
criminal.
Well, and it's because
They're forcing women to travel an hour, like, they're in labor and they travel an hour. I know for a fact, like, with my last one, if I had to travel an hour to get to the hospital to have him, I would have had him in the car.
Yep. Well, and here's why, everybody. Capitalism, because they look at the numbers. Oh, Jack's a nurse too, so he would know. But it's like they look at the numbers, our accountants, and they say, "Oh, preventative care, the margins are low on that. What do we get big margins on? Where are we getting a 10,000 margin? Oh, emergency care,
Mhm.
emergency things. So let's just gut preventative care,
Mhm.
and let's just make it these high risk scenarios because the bottom line is the healthcare industry that makes more money." And it's
Yep.
just like in abstract ways we've talked about this. People are like, "Oh, that's not true. They're not going to dismantle effective drugs because, there's not side effects." And it's like, well, they are, but it's
Mhm.
like this is now it's in a way where people can no longer ignore it. The corruption on so many levels is where people can't ignore it. Again,
Mhm.
we got political parties that are 2 right wings of the same bird. That bird's flying in circles straight
Mhm.
down to hell as we're all dying. And the first people that are gonna be, tortured by this are women and children because that's the way it always is. And the path forward, we elevate women to positions of power and we recognize the humanity of children. I think that's
Mhm.
as good a mission statement. And then I say, how do we pay for it? We defund genocide. I keep saying that's
Yep.
my line for the future.
Yep. But that's also the consequences of putting CEOs in charge of policy that experts should be in charge of.
Yes.
And
Yes.
this is across the board, when everything gets privatized and you're starting to put, CEOs in front of, like, I don't even think that they have doctors in charge of
Yeah.
um
Yeah.
what's it called, like, pre-qualifications or whatever for, insurance companies when they're trying to decide whether or not you need something or not. I think it's just
AI
normal
models. Well,
people
yeah.
now, yeah,
Yeah.
normal people now reading a script, like, this person is this,
Yeah.
if the
Spreadsheet.
answer is yes, then they go to this, and then if it's no, they go to this, and they're just, like, reading this scripted thing without pulling in all the different nuances that come with the care.
Yeah.
I mean, there's people getting denied cancer treatments when they clearly have cancer because we
Yep.
just need to wait and see. We need to, like my son just went and had a hernia repaired. We have 2 insurances. We have Blue Cross Blue Shield and Aetna. And he still was slapped with a $2,900 bill, even though his fucking intestines are starting to
Yeah.
protrude out of his stomach. Like, it's
Yes.
just, what the hell? Like, I don't, we have CEOs in charge of policy that is making decisions whether or not we deserve the healthcare or need the healthcare.
Yeah.
And we need to put experts back in front of
Yep.
it.
And it's for
We got to get
profit.
rid of these JFK assholes that are making
Oh,
decisions for us.
yep, and it's profit, and it's not for the good and the
Yep.
outcomes. I wanna read 2 comments by Jack. Jack says, "Money hasn't been invested into preventative care in ages. Trump cut a lot of funding that was never reinstated. It's almost completely run dry now." And then, uh, Jack asked me to ask my med health expert about healthcare brain drain that's happening. Yes, and I mean,
Yep.
I don't know how, Dr. Connor is doing it. She's like Tony Stark. She's brilliant, and she's been. And I sat through a
She
meeting.
really
She's been
is.
creating these AI tools. She's been monitoring things by checking like 30,000 different sources of data. But we're also
Mhm.
seeing that this administration is eliminating all the data sources, so we're not seeing it.
Yep.
We're not having any media coverage. That's another thing all these big
Mhm.
platforms could be promoting is how many women are bleeding out and dying in parking lots because of these
Yep.
healthcare, reproductive healthcare bans, which they
Mhm.
could also then use to pivot to educate the public so we vote for better candidates. But the DNC abdicates that responsibility as much as the Republicans push for these draconian bans. But yeah, it's
Yep.
like this is the whole point of Dr. Connor. I mean, I wish somebody with a big platform, a bigger platform than ours, would talk to
Mhm.
her, but she keeps talking to me, and I'll keep promoting her as much as I can. I'll get her, I'll try to get her on with Ellie because Ellie's got such a huge platform. I think she'd be open to this too. And just because people got to know this reality of this, these are horrors. These are crimes
Yep.
against humanity. In addition to defunding the pandemic response team and defunding Ebola control and building concentration camps and stopping, and then stopping fertilizer so we don't have food.
Yep.
They're also dismantling and she had a chart too to show how much this administration had gutted healthcare, the worst by like a
Mhm.
factor of 10, what they've
Mhm.
done to stop just our basic ability to ensure our loved ones get the care they need, and people are gonna die by torture. Yeah, I mean, Waj can talk to me, and people keep mentioning Waj. That guy knows who I am, and he can reach out to me. I've been here a long time. I'm no secret, and it's just sort of like at this point, and Kasim, all these guys, they know who the fuck I
Mhm.
am. They don't want to talk to me for some reason. I've been begging them to promote, and I think they did eventually get Francesca Hong on, but it's like
Mhm.
5 months later when it's already clear that's the future. They weren't at the
Yeah.
beginning. And it's like, if I get that support, I'll elevate the good people early enough so we don't get just 30 additions to the Progressive Caucus. We get 300. That's what
Yeah.
we need to do. Oh yeah, sorry, Greg. I didn't mean to go off. I didn't mean to go off on you, Greg. That wasn't. But it's just I do hear that a lot, and it's just
Yeah.
and this is what Evie was talking about before, where we're like early adapters to some of these things. We've seen it for a long time, and it's just again and again. And I do have to have more patience, so I'll take a mea culpa there. I need to have more patience because a lot of people just haven't been with me every step of the way, so they don't see that. Okay, good. Thank you, Greg.
Yeah,
I
no,
gotta
but
rile
but
up.
but that's what money's doing right now, and we have to stop holding money as the most important thing, especially because the dollar is we've got some things that are happening with the dollar
Oh,
here
it's
pretty
gone.
soon
It's
that we
dead.
really need to, yeah.
We're gonna be done with money too. All of our retirement is gone. Everything.
Yep. And oh, speaking of retirement,
Oh yeah.
for those of you who are teachers, city workers, or actually anybody who's got a pension coming, double check to see where your pension money is coming from, because right now I just
Yeah.
happened to stumble upon it. I was like following the money like I do,
Yeah.
and I happened to stumble upon that the teacher pensions here in Texas are getting their money from the detention centers, from Dilley Detention Center, and not a lot of people know it. The biggest shareholders at Dilley right now, the people who own Dilley right now is called Core Civic, and their biggest shareholders are BlackRock, the Vanguard Group, which BlackRock and the Vanguard Group own the world right now. Like they own everything. That's what an index fund is.
Yeah.
But
And yeah, go ahead.
you can opt out of that though. You just have to talk to your representative, and you have to tell them, I don't want any uh, prison investments. You can tell them no prison investments, and then they have to move your investments to other things. But
Yeah.
if you're not doing that, like your pension is literally coming from
Yeah.
what is being profited from Dilly.
That's so because it's so hidden. I mean, they'll have a mutual
Yep.
fund, they'll
DL
have a
Group too.
report where they buy thousands of things, and it
Yep.
might not even have a recognizable name. I mean,
Hmm.
the corruption in banking, maybe that's what we need to. Oh, the Jack Buddhist therapist. Good to see Jack Buddhist
Hmm.
therapist here. But it's like we need to address. All we have to do is start arresting these bankers in the Epstein files, and a lot of it collapses then. So it's like,
Hmm.
our
But we
point
gotta
of
be smart with
activism.
our money. We have to pull it.
Well, that's yeah,
If our money is going, know where your money is going. If you have a pension and you have retirement plans, you can
yeah,
talk to your person, your representative, and you can be like, "Hey, I want to know where this money's coming from. What groups are, what groups am I part of that
yeah.
we're pulling our pension money from?" And then if it is like that, like I had an IRA account through State Farm, and State Farm would invest in all these different
Yeah.
groups. And I had the option where I could opt out of um, for a profit prison investment, I think is
There's
what it was called.
yeah. Oh, I absolutely agree. And then, but also, it's just like these corrupt billionaires. They don't give us a lot of times. They don't give us the choice in where
Yeah.
our money goes. That's how they
And
make
we
their money.
should. We
Well,
should
we
have
need to fight.
choice.
we need to fight to get that system restored. Starts by not
Yeah.
supporting Adam Kinzinger.
Yeah. Fuck that guy.
But it's not. But I mean, canceling your subscription service, get off. I mean, you can get a phone plan. There's all. I mean, but
Yeah.
it's just it's. I was talking about with Will Fullwood the other day, where he was like, some of these platforms are bad. And it's like, you know what's bad is money. It's like, and it's like
Mhm.
you really can't get where we're just in a bartering system where you're not even using money at all, because they
Yeah.
coerce us and we make us so we become enablers of corruption. We have to, from within the system, bring it down. But the good news is, and the joy and the hope is, the number of these qualified or these people of integrity who are winning these primaries,
Yep.
this first run, it's going to be a massive change in our government,
Yeah.
in
We
this
gotta
next
start somewhere. It's not
Yes,
gonna be
yes.
perfect, and we have to start somewhere. And like I said, I mean, like, there's a lot of people who've got a thing with Hassan Piker. They just like, I don't know about that guy. And it's like, I
Yeah,
think he's great for this movement. And the
yeah,
only reason why I think he's great for this movement is because he is rattling cages. He's getting people to step outside of their box and go, wait a minute,
yeah.
wait a
Well,
minute here.
yep. And a lot of that too is because what they hear about him is misquotes or paraphrasing. And it's
Hmm.
like, go to find directly what he said. Because they did that with Melat Kiros too, because there was
Yep.
that issue where somebody shot up this parade and they're just like, but was it anti-Semitism though? And was it anti-Semitism? People are
Right.
like, well, she didn't say it was anti. It's like, did you go read her quote? Go read what
Hmm.
she says. And I read it on one of these lives. She gives these most eloquent statements and she's just like, it's wrong. We can't use violence.
Yeah.
She's saying all these things. It's like, how can you possibly have an issue with the things that she said? And the only reason, you said before, they misattribute quotes to people
Hmm.
that didn't
They
come from
cherry
them.
pick. Yeah.
Yes. And they did that to me. And the mistake they make on the right, like with that interview with me and Malat and Erica, because they gave the people the opportunity to see her actually speak. They showed her
Hmm.
directly. That's a mistake. Because if they see her talk, then it's impossible to overlook her brilliance and her integrity. And it's going to change. So what they normally do is push them aside. And we see Jesse Waters paraphrase me,
See Waters.
that
My
fucking guy.
God. That fucking guy. Exactly.
Uh, well, we're winding down. We've been at it for 2 hours, so that's a good morning. I hope everybody had a wonderful morning. I love all you people in the chat, and it's always good to see you. Evie, what do you got? Are you got any more scheduled today?
Yes, I'm actually meeting at 11 o'clock with MS Kohut, Kohut. I know I'm pronouncing it wrong, and I'm so
Hey, Melody.
sorry, but I just call her MS just because I need her to tell me how to pronounce her last name because I don't know. Anyway, I'm meeting with her at 11, so in an hour.
Oh,
And
I should
then
let you go.
after that,
More
I'm just
coffee.
going to be, yeah. After that, I'm just going to be, head down writing. I really need to finish my book because I really, really want to get these edits completed so I can get this freaking thing published
Yeah.
next month. So,
Actually, don't do any kind of pre-publishing, because that one woman I was just talking to, she just got a job as an acquisitions editor for Broadleaf, so we might as well talk to
mhm.
her. Don't do any self-publishing thing. Hell, who knows? Maybe we'll get a deal
Yeah.
out of it. And Mouthy Renegade Writers here, did we decide on a time for our talk?
Yes. So we are going to be meeting 10 a.m. Mountain Time, 11 a.m. Central
Okay.
on Friday the 14th.
Awesome.
Yeah.
I get a kick
I'm
out of him.
excited for that one because he's freaking hilarious. And
Yeah.
at this point, I've been so up the political ass right now of just the doom and gloom and the same conversation
Yep.
over and over and like they're I don't know. I need to unwind and I need
Yes.
to kind of just laugh about things. And
Yeah.
I reached out to him and I said, hey, can we do a live together? Because
Yeah.
I love all of your humor is my humor.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I just need to laugh and I need to have a, good start to my weekend. And then he mentioned you and he said, Walter was one of the persons that, encouraged me to get on this platform. And I'm like,
One,
I'll
dude.
invite Walter too.
Dude, I was the one. I was the one. And it wasn't just encouraged. I'm just like, keep doing it. I kept checking in. It's like, seriously, your shit's going to be very well
Yeah,
received here on.
he attributed his whole Substack career to you. So
Yes, there. That was the phrase I was waiting for. We go way back, and I really love him. So I'm
yeah,
excited to have those talks. And he has got the bouncing and behaving. I've
yeah,
submitted so many stories Maybe we should bring in a funny story. Yeah, there it is. He was the only one who pushed me to join. So
Yeah, no,
there it
he
is.
attributed
There it
his
is.
whole Substack career to you. He just said, Walter was the guy. And I said, yep, Walter's my dude, man. Walter is just like pushing everybody into trajectories,
Yeah.
like the t-shirt shooter. He's just like,
Yeah.
there, you go there, you go there.
And then on top of that, I managed to write so much. It's sort of like,
Yeah.
oh, man, I'm the only one. He was talking about the Melissa Etheridge song. It's only me. So yeah, no, that's good.
Yeah.
Oh, you guys are so lovely. These comments are so fantastic. All right, I'm going to let you go because I'd keep you all day because I love these talks. And I think, gosh, we keep making more and more progress. More and more stuff gets easier to talk about.
Yeah.
So yeah.
I know. Love
and
you,
we're getting
Walter.
wins.
I love everybody.
The blue whale.
Thank you so much for listening. Yes. If you haven't read Walter's blue whale story, go read that.
Oh man, that'll give you a laugh. That'll make you forget about things. All right. Well, you have a good day. We'll talk later.
All
And
right.
we'll
See you later, everybody.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.